Amy. I just want it to be a good day. So we're gonna put that out into the world, and we're gonna force it upon everybody else.
Look at you.
You will all be forced to have a good day. Because I said so.
You could just stop by being positive without threatening, because I do feel like your default is threatening.
I have been threatening a lot of people lately, haven't I?
With a lot of things.
We're going to threaten you again today because we need you to do something for us. 314-436-7900. Call in and text. Voice messages on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Bring it. We're streaming live. You can look at us. Do you want to look at us? Of course you do. We're cute. So we are on Facebook, YouTube, and you shut up, Matt. We are on Twitter at Chris Amy KMOX.
Time now for the top of the order. The top 3 stories everyone will be talking about.
Well, the St. Louis Dome, the Dome at America's Center, we like to call it. That's what I call it. To spend $50 million on upgrades, and they will be using Rams settlement money to do so.
It's a beautiful dome.
It's a beautiful dome. That's what I say.
Actually, a tragedy. I woke up this morning, saw the news, saw the headlines. Terrible. A Boeing commercial plane, a Dreamliner, crashed in India shortly after takeoff. It was on its way to London Heathrow. 242 people killed. They're still recovering bodies. It actually crashed into a medical school, into an area, a cafeteria type area. So they're still sorting through the wreckage, but terrible news coming out of India.
And the Cardinals get swept by the Blue Jays. Not a particularly good series with them. They got the Brewers today, however. This will be a pivotal series for them. Yeah, there are going to be a few pivotal series, I think, this year, and this will be one of them. 5:45 pregame and a 6:40 first pitch.
If 10 is a must-win game,
okay,
and 1... Because you use the word pivotal, and pivotal. I just point of parliament here. I want some context.
I'll tell you why it's pivotal in a second.
10 is a must-win, a true must-win. 1 is, we're good. We'll be fine. Where does the pivotal fall on this?
So it's still about a 3, 2, maybe.
Oh my
2
gosh.
or 3.
Yeah. Okay.
But the reason I call it pivotal.
Why did you use pivotal then?
May I?
A throwaway game today. It doesn't matter.
May I? So the Brewers are a half game behind where you are right now. That is the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals are 5 games behind the Cubs. You don't want to slip too far back as we get toward the middle of June and then into July, because we do have a trade deadline coming up. So if you can stay within a couple of games of the Cubs and you don't let the Brewers surpass you, it might help inform what you're going to do at the deadline. And because, they haven't played a lot of division opponents that matter. I mean, the Reds and the Reds and Pirates, those games, I guess you could say the Reds kind of matter because they're only a game and a half back, but the Pirates series don't matter. But it's these Cubs and Brewers series you're really going to have to worry about. You don't want to start losing games to them. So when you've got this coming up, playing tonight, playing over the weekend, you need to do pretty well in this series, but they're going to be on the road.
Okay.
So it's also difficult.
So this is not going to be the all baseball show. However,
No.
However, I have one more question for you, and I'm going to set the table first. Saturday is, do you know what Saturday is?
Flag
Day.
Is that the military parade day?
It's Flag Day. Saturday, I forgot when the parade is. Flag Day is Saturday. Now, that is Mike Claiborne's benchmark for knowing who the team is, what the team is during a season. He doesn't make any conclusions until Flag Day. You're talking to him tomorrow. I'm sure you'll get some opinions. You have long said that you don't need until Flag Day. You believe you know what a team is before that. So my question is, what is this team?
I think it's about this. So when I say you know what a team is, I think you know how good they are within 2 months. I don't think you need 2.5 months. 2 months will tell you. But what you can find out 2 weeks later, or even 3 weeks after that 2-month mark, is what you need at the trade deadline, if anything, if you're going to be a buyer or seller. But I think the Cardinals are a slightly above average team.
Moderate to severe?
They are more moderate. They're a moderate team.
Yeah.
That still could potentially win the division if they go on a run and the Cubs have a collapse. I have a feeling that is not going to happen. I don't think the Cubs are going to completely fall apart. They could have a rough stretch, but I don't think they'll fall apart.
The way I view it is the Cardinals right now aren't necessarily an inspired team, but they could be. They could be.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like if you are at some type of precipice or apex and you could fall one way or the other, the Cardinals could fall into the direction of an uninspired team, and then you limp your way to third place in the division, or they could tip the right way and become an inspired team and make a run for it.
Yeah, so that's when I say you know what your team is. I'm not saying you know who's going to win the division at the end of June or the end of May, because you don't. That's what division races are. But you know how good your team is, I think, by then. I don't think an extra 2 weeks does anything to inform your decision. So what will inform decisions is how they play over the next few weeks and whether or not they make any moves at the deadline or they keep what they have, or if they trade away from the roster they've got. Those are decisions that are going to be made here. And having bad series against a Milwaukee team and a Cubs team, that's coming up too. That will inform their decision to maybe move a piece or two instead of trying to add on or potentially stand pat. They could just keep what they have. You know, that's possible.
Hey, switching subjects a bit here. We're going to take a hard left turn. I know later on in the show, I believe we might be talking to Michael Calhoun, or at least listening to some of the audio. He was at the local ICE protests here in St. Louis. I believe there was one on Tam Avenue, right around that area.
Overpass area.
Yeah, I didn't run into it. I didn't go that way. I don't know if you ran into it at all or
I did
saw
not
it
see
or
it,
how
no.
many people were there. So we'll talk to him. But obviously the protests / riots, or I like the way Jonah Goldberg called it. He called it, because I'm going to call it unrest right now, because if you call it riots, there will be those who say, well, there are protests. And if you call it protests, though, there will be those who say, well, they're actually riots. He goes, if you call it unrest, it kind of covers both of them.
Yeah.
And we haven't talked about it much here on the show, other than a bit with Chris Cillizza, who we speak with each weekend. Ranj, for me, I feel sad because of the way things are escalating. And I do think there weren't a lot of protests in the past few years. There are outside agitators who are really ruining it for the true protesters.
Seems to happen a lot.
Yeah. And NBC had a story how there are some, they called it like leftist extremist groups who go to protests and make it violence or encourage violence. One of them was, because if you've been following the news, you would see maybe some like pro-Palestinian flags or Hamas flags. That would be one of those outside groups that started inciting more violence online and then went to the protests themselves, because there have been some very violent incidents, and that violence pretty much ruins, to me, it ruins the message of the protest, and it plays into the hands of those who are against protest in general.
Well, then those people should just be dealt with. And I think it's that simple. It does not, for me, take away from the message. And the message is that what ICE has been doing and what the administration has been doing is out of bounds. Look, nobody's going to argue with deporting a violent criminal, somebody who has come here, committed violence, maybe done it more than once, and gets sent back to wherever they came from. I have no problem with that. In fact, I think very few people have an issue with that. The problem is when they're showing up at Home Depot parking lots and they're finding people who are just looking for work, who are looking to do work that, by the way, Americans don't want to do.
We can't fill jobs.
We can't fill jobs, and they will do the jobs that Americans refuse to do. So that to me is way overstepping, because the promise we were given, if you want to call it a promise, was they're going after the worst of the worst. They're going after the gang members. They're going after the violent criminals. They're going to send all those people home. Well, when you're detaining and deporting mothers, when you're deporting people, or at least arresting people who are showing up for their hearings because the law is requiring to do that, requiring them, they're following the law to go to their immigration hearings, and then they show up and their immigration case has been dismissed because they've been told to dismiss those cases. There was an NBC News story about that. The administration is telling judges to dismiss cases so they can arrest these people. And as soon as the case is dismissed, they've got these people in their masks standing outside waiting to arrest a mom or somebody who's just trying to go through the process. I have a real big problem with that.
Well, and I think that's the thing. That's why this escalation, and it is part of the chaos that Trump sows. And before everyone gets upset, I am so against rioting and looting and attacking police officers and burning cars. I'm against that. It's so devastating for the cities. But, and again, I think this was a good point that Jonah Goldberg brought up. It's good for Trump, these images, because we've seen how he likes to
knows
take
what he's doing.
Assertive power.
Yeah.
He isn't thrilled with the limits of the Constitution. And if he can declare something an emergency or speak of it in warlike terms, he feels that gives him the permission to say, well, I'm going to make this executive decision, bypassing the constitutional processes. And what's so frustrating is what exactly you said. There were people who were trying to follow the legal means, which is a long, cumbersome, and expensive process to become a citizen, that they were being held up or arrested in between meetings. It wasn't just the worst first, the gang members. They were going after people who were trying to get through the process and filling out paperwork. So when you are purposefully threatening or inciting, and then people respond, whether it be in protest or they respond by being aggressive themselves, it then gives permission to Trump again to accelerate it to the next level, whether it be the National Guard or the Marines, and then it builds on top of each other. And then when you have, as NBC reported, outside groups who are extremists that don't represent the average protester, making the situation even worse by burning things down, it builds to this frenzy that ultimately ends with Trump being able to say, I'm the party of law and order, when really it started because you weren't following the constitutional process in the first place. And that's why this is so messy, because it opens doors for outside agitators and for violence, and what we're not having anymore. Because when you're watching cars burn and cops being attacked, it's very scary. And again, I condemn all of that. But we're not talking about anymore as, hey, we need to give people due process in the first place. We don't want America to be a country where people are afraid to visit or afraid to go to universities.
And we got the World Cup coming up. Let's see how that goes.
Or afraid, to apply for citizenship. And so that's why it's frustrating, because you take a very real issue like immigration, which we all know is a winning issue, a popular issue that we need to get a handle on it, and you do it in such a manner that it incites fear and escalates into violence.
Here's what I want. If you are somebody who is, and we've got a couple of texters, if you're here illegally, you're a criminal. First of all, no, it's not true. You're not. It is not a federal crime to be here undocumented. And a lot of these people are trying to go through the process. In fact, the vast majority of them are trying to. I want you to solve this issue for me, because we've got these deport them all text messages. Fine. You deport all of these immigrants. You deport all of them. Now I want you, because this is what you want. You want to deport all these people. I want you to solve the problem of who's going to fill their roles where they work. You solve that. You solve the construction problem. You solve the restaurant industry problem. You solve that issue. And don't say, well, Americans can take those jobs, because clearly Americans don't want those jobs. So if you can solve that issue, I'll listen. But deport them all is not a strategy, and it's not smart.
And I think even like as someone who, you want to make sure you have strong border control, who's coming into the country, and you need to deport some people. We're also, as a beacon of freedom and democracy, we should also have humanity and compassion.
Amy Marks Kors, Chris Ranji. We are going to talk to Major Garrett at 10:30. He joins us every Thursday. We'll talk about what's been happening in cities around the country and what's to come. Tom Johnston from the Doobie Brothers, one of the founding members of the Doobie Brothers. They are coming to town. They've got a new album. Tom will join us at 9:30. It is the Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Welcome to Willie's Wings, home of the secret sauce.
I'll take a dozen wings. Oh, by the way, I love that sauce. What's in it?
Can't tell you.
Why not?
It's a secret.
While many financial advisors claim to have the secret sauce, they don't. In fact, if their sauce is so good, why are they keeping it a secret? Steve All of the All Financial Group doesn't keep anything a secret. He knows there's much more to retirement planning than stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. He'll develop a strategy designed specifically for you. It's your own secret sauce for retirement. Call Steve today at 636-230-8824 for your personal portfolio x-ray. Call 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Fine, you want to know what's in the sauce?
Absolutely.
Tablespoon of paprika.
Really?
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
I'm Emma Greed, and I've spent the last 20 years building, running, and investing in some incredible businesses. The more success I've had, the more people started coming to me with questions. How do you start a business? How do you raise money? How do I bounce back from failure? On my new podcast, Aspire with Emma Greed, I'll be answering these questions and more through weekly conversations with the smartest minds out there. Listen to and follow Aspire with Emma Greed, an Odyssey podcast, available now, wherever you get your podcasts.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-207-4545. That's 800-207-4545. Once again, that's 800-207-4545.
Have you ever had a wedding reception in your yard or scheduled a party, birthday party, or whatever kind of party at your house, and during the party or a couple, 3 hours before, notice your air conditioner is not working and it is the hottest day of the year? Or have you come home from a vacation and your house is baking? My experience has been that's when it will break. It just happens that way. So if that does happen to you, or say, again, you don't need to have a party or you don't need to be baked. But if your air conditioner breaks and you need to get the cold air back in your house, call me, Bart Inman. One easy number in Missouri and Illinois. That is 314-293-2600. Again, the easiest of numbers, 314-293-2600, or on the internet, bartinman.com. It's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
Hi, Mia here at the winnings desk of the Missouri Lottery. With 56 million winning tickets last year, anyone can win big. So set your destination to winning, like gas stations, grocery stores, or anywhere you can buy a ticket. The Missouri Lottery. Winners welcome and play responsibly.
Hospital Sisters Health System isn't just in your community. We're your neighbors, your friends, your support system. From your first visit, you'll experience expert care backed by the strength of our entire health network. At HSHS, we put your health first, with medical expertise and kindness that makes you feel valued at every step. HSHS, connected to our community, committed to your health. Visit hshs.org/caring to learn more.
It's the Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX, sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium. Explore the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station.
I love this song.
I don't remember if it's an urban myth or not, but I believe I heard that Paul McCartney said this. Well, I know this is his favorite Beach Boys song, but I want to say that he said he would like trade in all the songs he had written to have written this song.
This is such a good song.
So here's the thing. And we just, Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys passed away yesterday. Did you see the movie Love and Mercy with John Cusack?
I did not.
You need to see it. Don't talk until you see it. Go see it. You can't.
All right. Well, I guess I'll see
Yeah,
you.
you can't.
Can I talk at 12 when Gas House Gang happens?
Obviously.
Bernie
I've got
Nicholas
some
and me?
Cardinals thoughts. But
Tony La Russa's
Yeah.
on with us today at
Yeah.
12:30.
Steve said you need more practice. He said, give Ranji some reps. So I said, okay,
Yeah,
I'll
that's
hold
cool.
back
All
from
right.
the Cardinals talk.
Okay, you
But
speak.
Brian Wilson, Love and Mercy with John Cusack is a documentary about his later years. It's actually really sad. It's how they made the music. They kind of do flashbacks to his youth, but true story. Brian Wilson's doctor, quotes, / psychiatrist was drugging him, taking advantage of him through his depression, was slowly moving his entire state over to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman that Brian Wilson met realized what was happening and helped get the estate back. And I'm sure there's some artistic license liberty taken with the movie, but it is really good and it is very sad. But I highly recommend it. But Brian Wilson, obviously troubled genius who wrote for the Beach Boys, was in the Beach Boys. I will say personally, not a fan of the Beach Boys, like their kind of like get around music, the ocean beach
Like
music.
the upbeat stuff.
The upbeat stuff.
The fun stuff.
But Pet Sounds is pretty genius. And there are some upbeat songs in it, but Brian Wilson was really a lot of the brains and the heart behind Pet Sounds. And that was some of the band. I know that their dad said, no, this is too dark. You know, this is too out there. What are all of these noises in the backgrounds, the ambient sounds? And they wanted to get away from Pet Sounds after it was made, even though it ended up being this, tip of the spear for the type of music that the Beatles would later go on to create. And they went back to the jingle pop, car, beach music, popsicle music. But Pet Sounds really does have some groundbreaking, genre shifting music in it. It's really pretty amazing.
It's strange. And I know the timeline of the Beach Boys, but for whatever reason, it has always felt to me that they were after the Beatles, but they kind of weren't.
They were concurrent. They were
they were
peers,
at the same time. But that's what I don't know why. I don't know why it's always felt that way to me. But
So
they were happening in the same moment.
we spoke, I think it was Charlie Brennan and me. We spoke with Mike Love.
Yeah.
And he said they were rivals with the Beatles. They would see what song they came out with and they'd write songs.
That's so great. I love that.
I can't imagine being my rival as the Beatles. Good luck with that.
That's Amy Marks Kors. I'm Chris Ranji. As we mentioned, being inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame tonight, Tom Johnston and members of the Doobie Brothers Band. Doobie Brothers is coming to town September 4th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. You can get tickets at thedoobiebrothers.com. Tom Johnston joins the show next on 104.1 FM KMOX.
So again, we were talking about all the rain we got and how everyone's lawns looking great, looking green and lush. Don't let moles ruin all the hard work, all the money you've poured into your lawn and those tunnels. That's exactly what they do. They tear up the grass and the tunnels tear up the roots and then the grass turns brown and it's ugly and it's messed up. You need to visit Rottler.com. Rottler has a year-round warranted protection against moles. There's no charge for follow-up visits in between regular services, and they don't charge per mole. It's a fixed budget for the entire year. It's all exterior treatments. So very convenient that you don't even have to be home for Rottler to perform their mole service. It's the most advanced and most highly effective mole elimination programs available. And while we're talking about your yard, I want to remind you that Rottler also has the most comprehensive mosquito program, keeps away mosquitoes, fleas, and ticks to protect you, your family, your friends, and your pets from those disease-carrying insects. Visit Rottler.com.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Bob Ackerman here, joining Busey Bank in recognizing Ron Doherty for building community. President and CEO Ron Doherty has been strengthening our communities for 40 years. After merging Doherty Business Solutions with CGI, he launched Doherty Enterprises and Foundation, which supports the Alzheimer's Association, other worthy causes, and innovative solutions with millions of dollars annually. Follow Daugherty Enterprises on LinkedIn to learn more.
This is Pat Buring, Executive Vice President of Busey Bank. The Daugherty Foundation supports the Alzheimer's Association and other causes financially, while Daugherty Enterprises uses AI and advanced technology to provide support and relief to patients and caregivers dealing with Alzheimer's and other dementia diseases. Follow their lead. That's what building community is all about. Join Busey. Get involved as we continue building the communities we call home.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code QUOTE to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code QUOTE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code QUOTE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Currently, it is 76 degrees downtown at the Arch. Feels like 82. It'll be pleasant today with times of clouds and smoke from the Canadian wildfires. It might make the sky hazy, but you'll have a pretty sunset, Ranj. Did you know that's how it works? Pollution.
Hey.
High of 82 degrees tonight. Low of 69. The Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company, PennMutual.com/STL. Times are always changing, but Penn Mutual stands the test of time. The 178-year young mutual company is leading the way in life insurance. Ask your independent advisor or go to PennMutual.com/STL.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. Selling your home, every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
Cards manager Ollie Marmol joins the Gas House Gang every Tuesday at noon. Sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center on the voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is the Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM, KMOX, and it is time to go to the guest line this morning, and we are very happy to be talking with a founding member of the Doobie Brothers, Tom Johnston, who is with us. A new album is out. It's called Walk This Road. Also, they've got some upcoming tour dates. One of them will be here in St. Louis, September 4th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. And tonight, they will be inducted in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Tom Johnston is with us. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
We're doing great. Congratulations on the Songwriters Hall of Fame. How does that feel?
Thank you. It's pretty amazing. Started hearing about this a year ago. It just kind of came out of nowhere, and we were all kind of blown away. Still are. Tonight will, I guess, make it a little more real, but we're looking forward to going there and doing that. It's been a busy week, and this will top it off. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's tonight is incredible. And really, when you think about it, not many bands can say that, okay, they're being inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. And oh, by the way, we have a new studio album concurrently. Usually it's one or the other. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the way things seem to be happening this year. We're very grateful, I can tell you that. It's amazing at this point in time that we're able to do this.
It is. You're absolutely right about that. That to build a career that is great enough. Usually bands are done, putting together albums and writing at that time. So, I mean, you all still clearly have that itch, right? You have that itch to put together new material.
Yeah, I think we do. All the guys that write in this band are still doing that on their own, whether in the band or not. But I mean, at home. But I think touring a lot and all of us being together a lot kind of brought the idea together to do, started out as an EP and, like 4 songs, something like that. And then it just kind of kept going and we just kept writing. And the next thing you know, we had enough songs for an album. And here we are.
Well, I love it. I grew up. Well, that's the thing. You guys are multi-generational. I grew up listening to the Doobie Brothers. Obviously, when I was younger, I thought you all were actually brothers with the last name Doobie. When I was
a kid, I did too.
I thought, I was like, oh, it's the Doobie brother. Tom Doobie is joining us. And so, it's pretty unusual. And I think is a testament to your music that multiple generations will be listening to this album, have listened to your music, have gone to your concerts, and will continue to do so. That has to be fun to be on stage and see all different ages at your concerts.
That's probably the most exciting thing in our lives musically, I would say. Getting an award like this tonight is amazing. I mean, we're kind of blown away. It really is. But I have to say, to getting out in front of a crowd, however many people, be 10, 20, 30 people, 10, 20, 30 people,
just
20 or 30,000 people, is the biggest payoff, if you want to look at it that way. And the fact that we are playing songs, not everything in the set is old, but I'm just saying some of the stuff in the set has been around for 50 years. And people get up and sing and dance and carry on. It's just amazing. That's such a rush. I can't even describe what that's like.
Well, Ron, you've probably even seen it too, like the, Charlie Puth, the pop singer. He'll bring up, I was so inspired by the Doobie Brothers, Michael McDonald, and go into that music. Even him saying that, again, it's just like every new generation knows Doobie Brothers music.
That's amazing. I think you just end up there by accident. I don't think it's definitely not planned. I can tell you that. But we're just grateful to have this going on. And it has been. It's never really stopped. And we've been doing this again since like 87 after breaking up in 82. And it's just, we don't quit. We just keep going. And everybody enjoys doing it. And that's what makes it work.
You were talking about the breakup, and it's reminding me right now of I can't remember the movie, but it's Kurt Russell. He's in it, and he's been out of contact for a long time. And he says, "Oh man, the Doobie Brothers broke up." And for some reason I remember the scene in that movie that you made it into pop culture that way too, into the movies.
Right, I remember that. I remember Michael Douglas did that.
Oh, it was Michael Douglas. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
I forget the name of the movie, unfortunately. I can come up with his name, but I can't come up with the movie.
Was it Romancing the Stone or something? I don't know.
That was pretty amazing.
It doesn't even matter. But Tom, you're still touring. When you put together shows, do you attempt to cater to your longtime audience that has been there forever, or are you looking for, to reach out to the newer people who might be in the crowd? How do you put the set list together?
Basically, we start with kind of a template, if you will. Certain songs you just play, and there's no question mark about that. We have so much stuff in our catalogs to choose from a bunch of albums. As recently as World Gone Crazy, for instance, we were doing that song and a couple other songs from that. But there's just many, many albums to choose from. But at the same time, you look out and you see the crowd. There's people our age. There's people 30s and 40s, 20s, even some teens. It blows me away when I see that. I'm going, wow, how in the world did they ever find out about this? But they're into it, and they're really digging it, and they're very enthusiastic as well. So you don't really think about what song is going to play to any specific age group. You just play the song, and that seems to do the job.
We were talking with Tom Johnston from the Doobie Brothers. And again, they will be here September 4th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, theDoobieBrothers.com if you want to get tickets for that. So when you try to balance, some of the songs from the 70s, and then you've got the songs from the 80s with Michael McDonald, how do you do that when you're putting a show together?
I don't think it's so much about the fact that Michael's songs compared to the other songs. I think it's mostly what feels right in that point of the set and how the crowd is reacting. Basically, it's kind of, the crowd stays the same from town to town, and they kind of all go for the same hits and things like that. And the same thing could be said for deep cuts and albums and stuff. They some things really resonate with them. Others are all about. I mean, they want to hear the hits. That's kind of normal. You expect that. But as I said, to have people get up and be that enthusiastic, I think in this particular era, they need to get out and have some fun.
Yeah.
I think things are not real happy right now. And I think it's really great to have a way to let off steam.
Mm-hmm.
We just did the Stephen Colbert show the other night. And we did the song that is the single for the album. And we played it and everybody liked it. And then they wanted us to play another song. So we played Listen to the Music. And this is what they requested. And they're clapping, and then we finished the song, and they didn't stop. They just kept going. And I said, "Geez, this is crazy." So Steven comes up and says, "I don't normally ask this, but would you mind doing one more song?"
Wow.
And we did. We did Long Train Running, and they went crazier still. It was just amazing. It's really a good feeling to bring people up. If you can do that, that to me is a gift.
Absolutely. To see, again, people singing along, dancing to the music. Well, and you bring up your albums, your new studio album, Walk This Road. I was really excited to see that song, the title track, features Mavis Staples, who I've always loved.
Mm-hmm.
So how was that, putting that song together, working with her? Had you worked with her before?
I hadn't, and to be honest with you, she wasn't in the studio doing her part. She was, I don't know where she lives. I don't know, Alabama or Memphis or whatever it is. I'm not sure where she lives, but we've all been huge fans for God since the 70s with the Staple Singers and with Mavis as a solo artist, and huge fans. And I'm not even sure who asked specifically, said, get a hold of Mavis. But it happened, and the management reached out and spoke with her people, and she did the recording, as I said, I'm not sure where. And it's like she was in the studio. She just nailed it.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Being the pro that she is.
Yeah, Tom, this album, and we were talking about, just having that desire to write and create still. This particular album, was there an influence for this one, or how did you go about writing this this album that we've been talking about today?
So when we started with this album, we did everything with John Shanks, who's the producer, and he also played on pretty much every track. All songs were co-written, basically, with John. So it's something new. We had never tried anything like that before. Well, we did. The last album we did before this, we did that way. But that was my first experience working with John. And it's a very, what should I say, it's a fast way of writing. But it didn't, the quality of the lyrics and the tune and stuff did not suffer whatsoever. It's kind of amazing. You go in the door of the place where we worked with him, and you take a right, and you go into that room, and you sit down, and you start writing. And within, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours, you've got a song, and you shoot that down to the studio down below, and you go down there and put it up on Pro Tools, and you go and start fleshing it out. It's a very cool way to work. It's something I had never done before. None of us had ever done it before. We'd always done it en masse in the studio. So it came out very well. I'm very happy with the outcome on this.
So does it take, it doesn't, an hour or two doesn't seem very long. So is this quicker than the old way of doing it?
Yeah, it really depends on, having always written by myself for years and years and years. There are some songs that do that sitting there by yourself. They just come together. The old saying is, if it writes itself, you can't go wrong. Whether you labor over something for a long time, it can definitely go wrong. So I think it's kind of like that, and it's just with another guy doing it with you, which is definitely different for all of us. It seems to pick up the pace, because more ideas are getting thrown out than they would if it was just you. And they're different ideas, and you have to open your mind to being accepting of stuff, and it's a different way to write, but I enjoyed it. It's kind of fun.
It seems like there could be too many cooks, right? And when you have all that
well,
talent.
you only got one other guy. If you want to get, upset about something, you can do that. But or you disagree on something, and that did happen a couple of times. But overall, it was pretty smooth sailing.
I
get upset with myself when I'm writing, so it all works out.
Always someone to get frustrated at. And in your long career, I know this is kind of an impossible question, but when you look at the venues you've played, or maybe the audiences you've played in front of, are there a few moments that stand out to you as just a watershed that you still are in disbelief happened?
Oh boy, we've played a lot of places all over the world.
It's a bad question.
I'll just throw an at you from last summer, just because we played there, but we hadn't played there for decades. We played Madison Square Garden last summer, and it was packed. It was sold out. And we were on tour with Steve Winwood. He was opening for us, and it was just a great show all the way around. And the people went nuts. It was incredible. That was a really fun show.
Oh, that's so awesome. We're just talking about like how music from generation to generation, this type of music, your music has been passed down. I grew up listening to my dad's old vinyls from college. So like Doobie Brothers music to me was on the vinyls that he had when he was in college. And what about you when you're listening to music? Do you have a preference? All the different ways to listen that you like?
You mean the platform I'm listening on, as opposed to albums, CDs, streaming, what have you?
Mm-hmm. For me, I love the physical
I'm not much of a streaming guy. I basically make playlists at my house, and I have an entertainment center that like goes throughout the house, and I just basically listen to that. I don't keep up with who's on top of the charts. I play stuff that I want to hear. It could be anything from blues to jazz to all-out rock and roll. Sometimes it's Taj Mahal. Sometimes it goes all over the map. Sometimes it's just acoustic guitar stuff. Depends on the mood you're in and what kind of day it is. And it's really nice to have that in the background when you're doing whatever you're doing.
So as I mentioned, Doobie Brothers will be here September 4th in St. Louis. Then the following day at Thunder Ridge Nature Arena, they will be there. So when you're in town, does Michael try to convince you of how good St. Louis pizza is, or is he beyond that?
No, you can't say that he does.
Speaks volumes.
My parents are from the St. Louis area.
Okay.
Really?
So I grew up coming back there all the time anyways. They weren't in St. Louis. They were two little small towns outside, but one is called Sullivan, the other is called Bourbon.
Yeah.
And that was a long time ago, needless to say, but they were out there on Route 66. And, I was a little kid. I used to come back there all the time, all the way until I was about 15. And then, of course, playing, we come through every year. I like St. Louis. It's a very cool town, man.
Did you get to the occasional Cardinals game?
I did. We know Tony La Russa pretty well, so
wow.
We would go. He's not with him now, but he can still get us in if we want to go. There's another guy in the band, a sax player named Mark Russo, who's very tight with Tony and does a lot of his shows that Tony gets behind the stuff for ARF or whatever. And so he hooks us up. If we want to go watch the Cardinals, we do. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy that too.
Got a
great way to spend the day.
It's funny. I've got a sports show that I'm on later today, and we're talking to Tony. So I will tell him you said hello.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I'll be like,
I said hi, by all means, yeah.
My good friend Tom Johnston says hello, Tony. That's what I'm telling him. So just back me up if he's like, did a guy named Chris? Yeah, it's my good buddy. You tell him that.
Yeah, he's a good guy. No doubt about it.
So we're looking forward to having you in town. We're excited about the album Walk This Road. It is a 10-track studio album. It is out now. Congratulations on the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Enjoy the induction tonight in New York. Tom Johnston of the Doobie Brothers, it was awesome to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. You guys have a wonderful day.
That is Tom Johnston with us. And if you want tickets to go see them September 4th, thedoobieBrothers.com. And as I mentioned, they'll be in Ridgedale, Missouri the following day, too. So pretty close to the St. Louis area. If you want to watch, you can go both nights. You might as well go both nights. That was Tom Johnston with us. Chris and Amy on 104.1 FM KMOX.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-536-9607. 6607. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-536-9607 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-536-9607 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-536-9607.
The legends ride again. Willie Nelson and the Outlaw Music Festival is rolling back into St. Louis, June 28th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Don't miss the living legends, Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, along with Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, and more, live right here in St. Louis. This is country the way it was meant to be. Tickets are still available, so get them before they're gone. More information can be found at KMOX.com/events.
Hey, it's Matt, your Leaf Filter Trusted Pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. A question I get all the time is how did we become the largest injury firm in the world? We have over 1,000 lawyers in all 50 states and close to 6,000 coworkers. Our call center is on duty 24/7. You can reach us at any time at forthepeople.com. But the real reason is we won a lot. When you visit our website, go to our verdicts and settlements. There you will see what our clients were offered and what they were awarded at trial. All those verdicts help us resolve many cases fairly and early. You see, nothing beats reputation. The insurance industry knows who we are. We even have insurance adjusters call us for representation because they know too. We've made it easy. On your mobile device or computer, go to forthepeople.com and we will get busy. It's that easy. Call today. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM, KMOX. Now, did you see this? With Chris and Amy.
Ronj, I think you've seen this. It's kind of old news. It's an old movie, actually. Have you seen the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd?
I have.
And a lot of other people. Jim Belushi makes an appearance. Oh my gosh, is it Jamie Lee Curtis?
Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, yep.
Don Amici, Ralph Bellamy are the two old guys in it. Anyway, it's a goofy 1983 movie. Eddie Murphy, hilarious. So something happened at the end of that movie that it kind of took me by surprise. So at the very end of the movie, they go to Wall Street and they show the World Trade Centers.
And
they show the two towers. And then they show Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. And then they show them, and then they show the towers, and they show them looking at the towers and walking up to the towers. Like, the towers are such a big part of the end of that movie. And Ron, it's been 24 years, and it hit me as so sad and like weird, and it felt off. I did not like the way I felt, if that makes sense. It made me, I just felt sad, and it felt weird to see the towers.
It felt that way in the immediate, for sure, in the immediate aftermath of it. Anytime you'd see any movie or TV show and they featured them in the background. And if I'm not mistaken, there were some shows and or movies that removed them digitally.
Really?
Or they would cut out scenes where they showed the towers.
At first, you mean?
Yeah, like in the immediate months after it all happened, because it was traumatic for people to see those towers.
I know in the immediate months too, violent commercials, violent movies, they scaled way back.
Remember?
They did not show a lot.
Do you remember the Real Men of Genius campaign from Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch?
Real American Heroes.
Yes. It started as Real American Heroes.
Yeah.
And that was leading up to 9/11, and they changed it because they felt like we can't use heroes now after what the fire department and police department, all those people did.
But yeah, anyway, it was a funny movie first time I had seen it, but I struggled.
And mine is on a much lighter note,
right.
but it's kind of similar because you're talking about old movies. And I just watched The Blues Brothers the other day. And there's a scene in The Blues Brothers. Yes.
Why are we both watching Jim Belushi and Dan Aykroyd?
I don't know. John Belushi.
John Belushi, sorry. I just throw it up there.
It's kind of related. So there's a scene in the movie where they go to this restaurant called Chez Paul, which used to exist in Chicago. And actually used to live around the corner from where the building is now. And there's a scene in it where they go in and they make a big production out of being there, and they're offending all the other diners who are there because they stink, and they're making, they're eating shrimp like by the handfuls. They're being really gross, right? And the maitre d' comes over because he knows them, and he's talking about how expensive the restaurant is, and he goes, I mean, this is what he says, and it blew me away.
Okay.
He goes, I mean, the soup is $10. And he says it like, I know it was 1980 when they made this movie, but to say that expensive soup is $10, it really struck me like $10 soup, that's nothing now.
Do you know what's
But he's
funny?
like,
I just now when you said that had the opposite reaction.
You thought it was expensive?
$10 for soup. It does feel like a lot, or it feels like a normal price. And knowing that this was 1980, that must have been the equivalent of $45 for soup.
I know, because like $10 soup to me seems like a deal.
How much is the soup at Qdoba? Have any of you had that? My brother always gets the Southwest. I don't know, the Southwest soup at Qdoba.
I remember,
but I feel like Bread Company soup is $8-10.
I feel like if you go to right. So it just seems normal to me. Because I remember people complaining about a restaurant having $10 burgers or $15 burgers. I'm like, that's the norm. I don't know. It's just weird to hear what prices used to be 30, 40 years ago.
A bowl of soup is $8.99 at Bread Company.
See?
$10 is a lot for soup. I'm on his side.
Well, not now. But I'm just saying it didn't feel that. It didn't feel that outrageous, but he says, I mean, the soup is $10.
I like to know that both you and I are keeping up on our pop culture.
We really are. Hey, the Cardinals got swept by the Blue Jays.
Well,
not good. They got the Brewers tonight, beginning of a series. It's a big one. Matt Pauley, host of Sports Open Line, joins us next. 104.1 FM KMOX.
Your home sold guaranteed, or I'll buy it. Hi, I'm Gloria Liu, broker owner at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And for over 20 years, I've been getting my home sellers the most money for their home and selling faster than the average agent. So when you're ready to sell your home or have questions, call me.
And I'm Debbie Monterey. For years, I've been telling you about Gloria Liu and why you should call her. Gloria has solutions and programs for every seller because she understands that every situation is different. Call Gloria and get your free instant home valuation, choose from multiple cash offers, or sell with certainty this summer because Gloria will guarantee upfront and in writing to sell your home at 100% of market value, or she will pay the difference. Hey, the St. Louis market is shifting. Now is a great time to call and get to know Gloria Liu like I have. Call 3 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Add some star-spangled style to your summer with Ashley's Stars and Stripes sale going on now. Shop Hot Buys for every room in your home, now just $6.99. Plus, you can save up to $1,000 store-wide. And don't miss upgrading your patio. Save up to 20% on select outdoor furniture. Or feel the freedom to buy now and pay over time with 0% interest until 2030 on in-store purchases made with your Ashley Advantage Synchrony credit card. Only at Ashley. Subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
O'Reilly. You need parts? We got parts. Product availability? Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. Get one free set of brake pads when you buy 2 brake rotors. Upgrade to Brake Best Select brake pads for $10 more, or upgrade to Brake Best Select Pro or Import Direct pads for just $20. Offer in-store only. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It is 10 o'clock, cloudy skies, 77 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterey.
I wish I would have done more sooner, but it's never too late to start.
2 simultaneous protests organized separately, one near Union Station downtown, the other on the Tam Avenue overpass overlooking drive-time commuters. Demonstrators hope they open people up to what they might not have heard.
No, I think it depends upon where you get your news. And that's all there is to it.
That is the big thing.
This is not acceptable, what he's doing. He promised his base that he would deport horrible, violent criminals and gangsters, and he's not. What he's doing is illegal. It's unethical. It's inhumane.
Police were not even visible at the Tam Avenue overpass protest site. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Similar protests around the country, including in New York, where several New York Police Department vehicles were set on fire overnight in Bushwick, according to police.
Police are investigating this fire as an act of arson. At least 8 vehicles were damaged, including marked and unmarked units and police vans. Some were charred beyond recognition. Others look like they had their windows deliberately shattered. Detectives and investigators with the fire marshal's office are here and are working to determine the point of origin and how this fire was set.
CBS's Christina Fan says the lot where the fires broke out is about a block away from the police precinct. Protesters taking to the streets of Raleigh, North Carolina, showing their opposition to the recent immigration raids. Here's WNCN's Greg Funderburg.
Susanna says the recent raids are shocking for her, considering she supported President Trump in November.
I did support Trump. I was on that side. Everything that he's mentioned and back in the propaganda and everything, it's just been a lie. It wasn't what we all expected.
Spotting and stopping scams after a disaster is a focus of the Coalition for Justice for Elder and Disabled Adults. Coordinator Janice Thomas knows scam artists will be combing through the area offering help.
We've put out a couple of flyers, and we are very, very, very pleased that the flyers have gone out in food packets, people who are doing door-to-door canvassing, which includes older adults and disabled adults, are getting this flyer that speaks to just the same thing that you're talking about, being alert that everyone who comes to your door may not be helpful. And
A new flyer is going out about FEMA with warnings about what real FEMA inspectors will and won't ask for and how to spot fake offers of federal aid and other helpful tips. The weather is sponsored by Chesterfield Fence and Deck.
Mostly cloudy with a high of 82 this afternoon. Some showers, even a thunderstorm move into southwestern areas later this afternoon and spread across the rest of the area tonight. Low 70. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Heather Zayer on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's 77 and cloudy. Chesterfield Fence and Deck is your premier provider of fences, decks, patios, sunrooms, and more. Call them for a free estimate today. Now offering 20% off your next outdoor project. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, chesterfieldfence.com. It's 10:03. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
Chris Ronchi, Amy Marks Kors. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Dubar, foul tip into the catcher's mitt, strike three, strikes out for the fourth time today, and this ball game has come to an end.
Yo, Paulie!
Paulie's a great name.
Yo, Paulie! What'd you do for Paulie? Anything? Me, Paulie! I was responsible!
Paulie, we're here because of you.
Well, there are a number of ways you can look at this past series for the Cardinals against the Blue Jays. They got swept. And in getting swept, that's not good because it happened at home after a really good series over the weekend against the Dodgers. You go and do this against the Blue Jays, also a good team. So that's not good. I guess the other thing, if you want to look for a positive, is they didn't lose that much ground in the division. They're 5 games out behind the Chicago Cubs. We go to the guest line, Matt Pauley, host of Sports Open Line and pre and post game for the Cardinals, and Redbird Rush Hour at 5 o'clock every day here on KMOX. Matt Pauley, what are your overall thoughts of the last 3 days?
Yeah, they didn't play. There's a couple games in there that were winnable. I think you look at that first game, that's the one you lament the most. You don't want to get swept by any stretch of the mind. So the fact that they didn't win that first game, that's the one that probably hurts the most of the 3. The Blue Jays weren't a great matchup, and just because they don't strike out, they make so much contact, and Cardinals pitchers pitch to so much contact. There was a lot of hard contact, and then there was a fair amount of soft contact that made its way through as well. And I don't say that to make an excuse. It's just there's a lot of contact. There's not a lot of strikeouts over the last few days, and that ended up hurting the Cardinals.
Yeah, well, this might answer the question that I was going to ask you, Matt. Which are you more concerned about? The fact that the Cardinals were swept at home, or the 21 runs in 3 games? 20 runs that they gave up in 3 games.
Yeah, I think that's probably the bigger thing. Like, sweeps happen. Like, Ryan Helsley all of a sudden blows a save. Like, I can accept losses. I can accept sweeps. Like, that's just part of a 162 game season. But then you start to dig in a little bit and you say, well, what actually led to that happening? And that's what you want to see get fixed. And to your point, the amount of runs that they've given up here recently, it's a ton of runs, and it's something that can't keep going. And it goes back beyond this series. I mean, you think about that Texas series that they lost 2 out of 3. The 2 games that they lost, they gave up a ton of runs. So pitching has not been, over the last couple weeks, what it was during that really good run, and they've got to find a way to get pitching going again. And it's cyclical in nature. It's also, there's a domino effect that goes along with this, just in the sense that if starters aren't giving you a lot, then your bullpen's getting overused. They're in this period right now where there's only 2 scheduled off days in the month of June. They got another one in there with a rain out, but then they had to follow that up with a doubleheader. So it's not the easiest. There's no chance for the team to just take a breath. So they're trying to figure this out very much on the fly.
So you mentioned the pitching, and we talked about Ryan Helsley on Gas House Gang a couple of days ago, because in the month of June, he's not been particularly good. He was pretty good in the month of May. This month has been a different story. Is there a reason to be concerned about what has gone on with him lately? And if there is, does it affect trade value if that is where the Cardinals end up being in a few weeks?
Yeah, I think you can look at the numbers against his four-seam fastball specifically and start to be concerned about that. He's got a 400 batting average against the four-seamer, and that's a pitch that he can run up to 102 when he needs to. He's not locating it. The overall numbers on the slider are still really good, less than a 100 average against on the slider, but he's not locating it as much, so he's not able to play the two pitches off each other as much as you would like. So I think reason for concern, it is a lot based off just the damage against the four-seam fastball. That's the thing I'm looking at. Now, you look at what he did in the month of May. It's like it's two different stories because he was 9 of 9 in save opportunities in the month of May. At the same time, of the 11 games that he appeared in, he gave up at least one hit in all but 3 of them. So he's had traffic against him really since the season got started. And he's got a whip at 1.5. He's got an average against sitting at 269. Like, there are some numbers here that are startling when it comes to Helsley that are very, very different than his career norms. So you would be, I think you'd be kind of just ignoring some numbers that are flashing at you if you're not concerned about Helsley. Again, at the same time, it's not like his velo has dropped off. He's sitting 99 on the four-seamer and can touch 102 if he needs to. So if all of a sudden he's sitting 99 or, peaking out at 98 and sitting 95, then it's like, okay, what's going on with this guy? The fact that the velo is still there tells you that the issues that exist are somewhat fixable.
We were talking about Matthew Liberatore and his mechanics or something that got out of whack and that led to some fatigue, but he still wasn't especially great last night. So, I mean, how do you look at what he's doing, and is there concern about him now?
Yeah, so I think it looked different yesterday. I mean, the overall numbers, you're right. He gave up 5 runs in 5 innings. 3 of the runs were earned, so 2 unearned runs. But at the end of the day, he gave up 5 runs in 5 innings. So, yes, that's his 3rd straight start where the end-of-game numbers are not what you would like them to be. Again, I think with a discerning eye, you look and compare what he did yesterday to what he did in that Kansas City game where he had to come out with the fatigue-related issues and he wasn't all synced up. It's different. He was able to hold velo yesterday, and I think it's 2 different things that are going on with Liberatore. That game against Kansas City, it was not being synced up. It was the fatigue. It was all that stuff. What went on yesterday, I think you got a guy who's running into a little bit of a wall right now. He's never been asked to pitch as a starter every 5th day over 162-game season in the big leagues. He hasn't been a regular starter in a few years. I think it's a very normal thing. And he was throwing a ton of innings up until he's basically been the guy who's carried the largest load in terms of starting pitching in innings. I mean, he was going 6-7 innings, start after start after start. And I just think that right now he's hit a little bit of a wall. I wish they would be able, and we talked about this the last time I was on. I would love for them to be able to pump the brakes a bit on him. And but with this month and the lack of off days, that's really tough for him. So it seems like he's going to have to go ahead and battle through this.
So this series coming up here against the Brewers, I think, is fairly big. Obviously, there's a lot of time left to go in the season, but the more days that go by, the closer you get to the trade deadline, which means all of these games are pretty important in helping them decide what they're going to do, over the next several weeks. So in your mind, how big is this Brewers series, a team that is just a half game behind the Cardinals now?
Yeah, I think it's as big of a series can be on, June 12th. It's a 4-gamer, so you go in there and I think you're content if you're able to split it. That's the way a 4-game series on the road. If you split it, you feel good about it. They split a 4-gamer against Cincinnati a few weeks ago, and you felt good about that. But more important than just that, than making sure that you at least split the series, it's also watching to see if some of the things that they were doing well during their good run comes back. Milwaukee's a pretty good ballpark to be able to hit it. So does the offense come back a little bit over the next few days? Sonny Gray pitches today. There's no reason to be worried about Gray. No matter what he does tonight, I think we know who Sonny Gray is, and you feel really good about him taking the ball that every 5th day. But then the 3 starters after that, and Fedde, Palante, and Michaelis, there have certainly been questions about those guys here recently. So watching them and seeing whether or not they can find some, the best version of themselves or close to it, that's going to be a really important part of these 4 games.
So why did the Brewers do this to me? Because 2 weeks ago I said they were just completely done.
Everybody says that about the Brewers every year.
Yeah, but that's before the season. And then in the middle, they started playing like butt, and I'm like, okay, that's it. They're no good anymore. And then as soon as I said it, they started playing better. Why does this keep happening?
They're one of the smartest organizations out there. Now, that being said, they did just lose a series to the Braves, who had lost 7 in a row going into that series. So
everybody stinks.
Yeah, just everybody stinks right now in Major League Baseball. Look, I respect the Brewers baseball operation as much as I respect any baseball operation in all of Major League Baseball. This feels different this year with them. I don't know if it's the lack of Willy Adames. And if you haven't seen, I almost feel sad for Adames because he got that big contract in San Francisco. I think he's under 200 hitting there, and he's not playing every day all of a sudden, where he was kind of the heart and soul of that Brewers team. They've got, they're going to start a young phenom prospect tonight. Jackson Chourio is there. They've still got young guys that they're producing, that they're bringing up. And maybe this changes as the year goes along because they are the Brewers and they just always find a way to still be in it. But as I watch them, this seems a little bit different this year. I have less belief in the Brewers on June 12th of 2025 than I've had in the Brewers on June 12th of all previous seasons.
Wow.
So then maybe I wasn't wrong. Maybe they do stink, actually.
I don't know if they stink. They don't have it. And I think they'll get back rolling again probably in future years. But it just seems a little bit different this year with them.
What's the toughest month from a baseball team's perspective? Because it's a long season. It's a grueling season. Which is the worst month of the season?
I have a guess, and I bet we're going to say the same thing.
Say it on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1.
August.
Matt.
He's on a delay, probably. Oh, that's right.
In Matt's ears, that was at the same time as Raj.
Yes, it was. But the caveat that I would put in there is it depends if you're a good team or a not so good team. If you're a really, really good team, August can be awesome because you're coming off the trade deadline and maybe your front office went out and got some guys and you feel really, really excited about what's moving forward. If you're a not so good team, a team that especially just sold, like at least in July, you have the All-Star break, you come out of the trading deadline and you have no hope. August just stinks. It is the worst. When I was in the minor leagues, especially at AAA, August was terrible. Because there would be all these guys who are hoping that maybe they would be part of trades or maybe a trade would result in them getting a big league opportunity. And then that doesn't happen and they're still at AAA and they just absolutely hated life.
There is nothing. And I think this gets undervalued. I don't know how much value to put on it, but I don't think we give it enough that when a team is competitive in any given year and the team makes a trade for somebody to help them at the deadline, the boost it gives to the players in the dugout who are still going to be there it's pretty big. I mean, they get really excited because what the front office is saying is, we believe in this team. We believe in the team so much. We're going to give you a little bit more to help you even more down the stretch. It is huge for players in the dugout to make an acquisition.
And the exact opposite that could be true. I mean, you think about what happened since they're playing Milwaukee. Milwaukee's the greatest example of this when they dished away Josh Hader a couple years ago. And the guys are just looking around at each other in the clubhouse saying, we're a first place team. And they just traded away our closer and then they completely fell apart.
It's that's just madness. I would be furious if I were a player. When there was one year when the Sox traded for Jake Peavy, who had not too far removed from a Cy Young, and they found out about it in the middle of the game. And Mark Burley, one of the St. Louisan, and a couple of other guys who were pitchers, they went back into the clubhouse in the middle of the game, and they all did celebratory bourbon shots because they were so excited. They were like, holy crap, we're getting a Cy Young.
That's pretty cool.
Right? So, what it does for a team is huge. I don't know if the Cardinals are going to be in that position. I mean, we're still 6 weeks away from it, but I would love.
Last year was also really weird. Like, do you think about last year? They made the trade for Fetty, and they got Pham, and I remember being in the clubhouse after that, and everybody was so excited. And then they went on to lose 3 out of 4 against Chicago, and it just never came back after that. But that's the exception to the rule. But it did happen very weirdly for the Cardinals that way last year.
All right, before we let you go, Matt, 6 years ago today,
Stanley Cup.
The St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup.
I saw. Were you quizzing me? Yes.
I'm not really sure. I was hoping for a group effort, but 6 years ago today, June 12th, the Blues win the Stanley Cup in 7 games in Boston.
I don't know if I've ever told this story. I'll tell it real quick. So that's when I was hosting Brewers post game. That is the only time in the history of me hosting post game shows in Major League Baseball that I ever basically did not watch a single second of the game that I was about to host the show on.
Oh, the Brewers game?
Because I had the Blues on. I only had one TV, and I wasn't going to turn it off. So I faked my way through a Brewers post-game show.
Good for you.
And I was very happy about the Blues.
And that's why our boss brought this guy back to St. Louis. He said, by golly, this guy gets it. Bring him back to KMOX.
Did the Blues game end before the Brewers did?
I think it did. I think I was euphoric because actually, I remember because I got a call on my Brewers postgame show from a guy in Wisconsin who happened to be a Blues fan, and he knew I was a Blues fan, and he called into the Brewers postgame show to talk about the Blues.
That's awesome. I love
that.
Yes.
Very good. All right.
It was good.
Thank you, Matt.
Redbird Rush Hour at 5 o'clock and then 5:45 pregame show.
Sounds great.
Don't blow it.
All right.
Yo, Paulie, your sister's with me. I'll call you back later. See ya.
First pitch on KMOX 104.1 FM, 640. And don't forget, Gas House Gang at 12, Bernie Miklasz and me. And we will have Tony La Russa joining the show at 12:30. That's coming up today. 104.1 FM, KMOX. Chris Ranji for Siteman Cancer Center. And if you are like me, you do have anxiety about getting that colonoscopy because after the age of 45, that's when they tell us it is a good time to do it. And we should start at this time. But there is no better place to do it than at Siteman Cancer Center. And they have a great resource. If you don't live all that close to St. Louis and you want to find a place closer to you, GetScreenedNow.com will help you locate a place closer to you so you don't have to come all the way to the city to do it. And it's a great resource for colon cancer. If you're getting screened for prostate or for lung or breast cancer, they will find a place for you at GetScreenedNow.com. We know that 4 out of every 10 adults at some point will develop a cancer. Early detection is so important. Find the resources you need, a location you need to get screened by going to GetScreenedNow.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at Hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED. But Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to Hims.com/joy. That's Hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Hey, St. Louis! Mers Goodwill is proud to sponsor the St. Louis City Match on June 14th, and we want you to be a part of the excitement. This is more than just a match. It's a day of giving back. Bring your new or gently used clothing and household items to donate at designated drop-off zones outside Energizer Park between 12:30 and 3 p.m. Join us for the City and Goodwill donation drive on June 14th. Give hope, give local, give goodwill.
Hi, my name is Christina Straight, the owner of Straight Realty, and I'm asking you, what do you want in a realtor? Do you want experience? I've been a broker for over 21 years. Do you want to know how much I've sold? I've sold over $500 million, yes, $1 billion with a B, in sales. Do you want value? I now list properties for only 2%. So, if you're looking for all these things and want the best, then call me 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code QUOTE to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code QUOTE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code QUOTE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Get so much more with the new T-Pain Munchie Meal at Jack in the Box, including your choice of burger or chicken tater melt, plus curly fries, a taco, drink, and new stuffed cookie. Auto-tune not included.
It's the Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX, sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium. Explore the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station.
Chris Ranji, Amy Mark Scores with you. Every Tuesday, we unveil our question of the week. And this week it was, how much would you be willing to pay to to see your favorite artist in concert? How much would you be willing to pay to see your favorite artist in concert? Few options here, $50 to $99, $100 to $199, $200 to $299, or over $300. It's pretty evenly split between the four, except for $200 to $299, very unpopular.
No, it is a lot of money.
More people would pay over $300 than they would.
See, that's wild to me. I would have thought that, the more you have to spend, the less you're likely to do it. But if the concert is such a big deal to you, like when Michael Kelly went to see U2 at the Sphere, which I would have loved to do that. There were people paying like thousands to go. And that's not unusual with concerts these days. Hard to get tickets. They can go for well over $1,000. I would just have a tough time paying for it. Unless you got throwaway money like Kelly does. That guy's swimming in it.
Hey.
He's like Scrooge McDuck with those gold coins.
Oh my gosh. He's not here to defend himself.
Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Don't speak ill of the not
absent.
Present. Yeah, of the absent. Don't speak ill of the absent.
Ill of everybody who's not here.
All I know is that my friends who bought tickets for their kids generally to see Taylor Swift, although one couple, they bought it for themselves. They're in their late 40s and they are huge Taylor Swift fans. But when you buy the tickets and those tickets are face value $500 because let's say your credit card company gave you an elevated spot in the lottery that when the tickets were released, you could buy them. Buy them for face value $500. Now they're worth $8,000 a piece. Sell those tickets. There is no one on earth that I would pay, or let me rephrase that. No one on earth that I would give up the opportunity of $8,000 per ticket to go see. Because I would sit in my seat and go, I could be in my house listening to this on the album with a drink, relaxing, with $8,000 in my bank account. Maybe I'll go to Europe 3 times. Like, I couldn't live with myself, especially if you bought 4. And I did have a friend who did just that. They bought 4 tickets 2 tickets, sorry, because their credit card gave them a better spot to buy face value. It was a perk. So he bought 2 tickets at $500 a piece, and he sold them for $4,000 a piece. And I think you lose 1,000 in the StubHub, whatever it is, or the resale, whatever it is, the fee.
Yeah.
So he made $7,000, and they're going to Paris this summer.
I would also.
That's insane,
there you go.
Right?
You
That's
replaced it with a.
Such a good financial move. Sell those tickets.
Did I tell you this? I had a friend who had. They were trying to get tickets for Taylor Swift at Soldier Field. They were stupid expensive. So somehow they discovered that for face value, the tickets in Amsterdam were still available, and there were a lot of them. And she and her friend both had airline points, and they flew to Amsterdam, got a hotel, stayed there for a couple of nights for cheaper than it would have been to pay for tickets to see Taylor Swift at Soldier Field.
Yeah.
They got a trip to Europe for a couple of nights.
Crazy.
And it was all less expensive than if they just would have bought regular tickets. Don't forget.
Unbelievable.
You only have a few days to vote for us in STL Mag's A-List competition under the Arts and Entertainment section. We are a talk news show. You can vote for us. And you should, because we would feel we get to tell our moms about it.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah. Mom, guess what? We
won.
Yeah.
And then we'll tell Steve, hey, it's Thursday. That means we are going to chat with CBS Chief Washington correspondent and host of The Takeout, Major Garrett, joins us next. It's the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Ready to make lake life a reality? With Anywhere Lombardo at Lake of the Ozarks, you can build a home designed just for you. Whether it's a cozy retreat or a luxurious lakeside escape, our custom designs bring your vision to life, set against stunning lake views and peaceful surroundings, the perfect balance of relaxation and adventure. With a trusted builder backed by long-standing vendor relationships, you'll enjoy cost savings and superior quality from start to finish. Start your dream home today with Anywhere Lombardo. Visit lombardohomes.com to learn more.
Hi, Stacy with Fairwinds Rivers Edge Senior Living in St. Charles. Are you a senior seeking a fun retirement? Do you want less work and more play? Do you want to enjoy great food that you don't have to cook? Then I know. Stop what you're doing right now and call Fairwinds. Set up a time to visit and have a meal. Meet some of our awesome residents. Check us out online at fairwindsriversedge.com. We hope to talk with you soon.
Currently, it is 76 degrees downtown in St. Louis.
It's actually 78.
Well, I have 76. I don't know what to tell you from AccuWeather. 76 degrees from downtown St. Louis. It feels like 84, if that helps. There will be some times of clouds and sun, smoke from the Canadian wildfires. Not great with the air quality. A low tonight of 69.
Cash for Clunkers is back. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is paying cash for your clunkers now. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com or call 314-781-5200. It's cash for clunkers now at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an unpredictable economy and the future feeling uncertain, you're wondering if that equity will still be there when you're ready. What if you could bank that equity right now? With Truehold, you can sell your home for its current value so you can access your equity today. You can bank the cash now and stay in the home you love with an easy standard lease. Truehold even covers property taxes, insurance, and repairs. And since Truehold hands over your equity in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't let a shifting economy put your hard-earned equity at risk. Visit Truehold.com and receive their competitive offer on your home in just 48 hours, based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX and the free Odyssey app. It's Major News with Major Garrett, our weekly conversation with CBS's chief Washington correspondent.
Every Thursday at 10:30, we talk to our guy, Chief Washington Correspondent for CBS News, host of The Takeout on CBS News 24/7. It is Major Garrett who is with us on 104.1 FM KMOX. Good morning, Major.
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, we are doing great, I think. It has been a complicated week, as all weeks have been complicated, I think, lately. And with all the protests that have gone on around the country, in particular in Los Angeles, and the administration's response to it, what is the feel in Washington right now with all of this going on?
So Republicans feel that Trump has the upper hand politically. Democrats fear very much that whether the politics work in their direction or not, there is something much deeper at stake, which is, what does a mayor say about controlling a city? What does a governor say about controlling a city within a state? And what is the ultimate aim of a memorandum from the president, in this case, President Trump, that says he can federalize the National Guard over the objections of a governor, over the objections of a mayor. And this is what the memo says: if there are protests or if there may be protests in the future. Meaning, under the president's current evaluation of what his powers are with National Guard forces in any given state, he can, if he believes a protest is likely to occur, federalize the National Guard. That is sweeping. There is no other way to describe it other than a sweeping assertion of power to take in federal control the National Guard of a given state. Whether you agree or disagree with the deployment in Los Angeles, you have to ask yourself, what are the potential risks of presidential power that's that expansive? I think they're self-evident. Maybe President Trump will exercise them cautiously. Maybe he won't. But if those powers are invested in any future occupant of the White House, and that occupant of the White House doesn't have any restraint, then the National Guard in your state can be taken over by the federal government and deployed as it sees fit if there's just a hint of a coming protest. That's pretty aggressive, and I think that's my way of putting that mildly. Those are the stakes as Democrats see them. They know in the moment politics probably, and it's close in our polling internally here at CBS and some of the other quick polling that's been done after Los Angeles, it's kind of divided, which is worth noting, I think, because up until now, all the polling for President Trump on immigration has been to the plus side. This is much more evenly drawn. In some cases, people are not so comfortable with the federalization of National Guard, the deployment of Marines in an American city. So there are some political risks here. And as I just articulated, I think there are some larger structural legal risks as well.
Well, and President Trump has used the language of crisis, whether he calls something an emergency, a crisis, or the moral equivalent of war. And what's so frustrating, Major, which I know you know, like immigration, a huge issue. It's a big issue. A lot of people, and Trump overwhelmingly had a positive view for people who said, okay, we need to deal with the immigration issue. But if he does it in such a way that's threatening and careless with due process, which then leads to protests, which then opens doors for violent agitators and riots, that violent imagery, in my mind, plays into Trump's hands so that he can use this crisis language, because a lot of Americans, they see burning cop cars and rocks being thrown and burning cities and think, oh my gosh, whatever you need to do to get it under control.
And that is accelerated and amplified on social media. So, and there's plenty of reporting that's gone on all this week about bots that are operated by adversaries of the United States, accelerating and amplifying social media imagery. So if your entire source of information about Los Angeles is TikTok or Instagram, you might reasonably think that the whole city is on fire. It's not on fire. There's a curfew in 1 square mile of Los Angeles. 1 square mile. That's where the curfew is. Los Angeles City is 500 square miles. In the first 2 days of the disturbances in Los Angeles, fewer people were arrested than were arrested after the 2020 celebration, which also turned violent when the Lakers won the NBA championship. Okay? During that, and I highlighted this 2 nights ago on my show, The Takeout, a city bus was burned. 2 people were sent to the hospital. 8 cops were injured. 30 buildings were ransacked. That happened after the Lakers won a world championship in the NBA in the COVID year of 2020. In the first 2 days, when the president was telling the world that Los Angeles is burning to the ground, there were fewer incidents of violence, less damage, and fewer people arrested. I'm not saying bad things didn't happen. Bad things did happen. They're on video. You can see them. But on social media, all context is obliterated. All you are looking through is a straw. And if all you're looking through is a straw, what do you see? Only that which the straw captures. And this is one of the great challenges of contextualizing and understanding what is or isn't true. And in that atmosphere, to your point, Amy, which is a very good one, someone who wants to say this is something that demands a federalized response, even if the governor disagrees or the mayor disagrees or the police chief disagrees or the county sheriff disagrees, all of which are true in California. The LA police chief said, we don't need them. The sheriff said, we don't need them, yet they're there anyway. The Marines have gone through 2 days of training because they don't even know what they're supposed to do. They're not trained for urban civil crowd control in an American city. They just aren't. And the application or even hints of deploying Marines in an atmosphere like this only creates a greater sense of anxiety and fear. And anxiety and fear are dangerous human emotions. They're combustible. That's why local officials keep saying, can we bring the temperature down? Mm-hmm. The rhetoric from the president, now it's calmed down now because he knows nothing's going on. There's nothing going on. There's no crisis anymore. Why? Because the locals have it basically managed. So he's backing away from the crisis rhetoric because he knows there is an inherent risk of Americans looking at that and saying, wait a minute, let me evaluate this over time. Let me get beyond the emotions that trigger me on social media and try to see what's actually happening. And what's actually happening there is some agitators, that's a very good word you used, exploiting a situation, and other protesters saying, I am not comfortable with the aggressiveness of these immigrations, customs, and enforcement raids. And it's interesting to note, this morning on social media, what did President Trump say? He said something that his border czar hasn't said. He said something that his DHS secretary hasn't said. He said something that Stephen Miller has never said, his top immigration advisor in the White House. What did he say? On Truth Social, he said, people who are working hard on farms and in hotels are being rounded up. Changes are coming. Oh, really? Changes are coming. Because good people who are immigrants in this country who happen to be undocumented are working in agriculture and hotels. What about everywhere else? What about Omaha, Nebraska yesterday? Where a meatpacking plant, people who do hard work for many hours were rounded up. Are they going to get changes? Are you authorizing sudden changes on enforcement, meaning you're going to decide which enforcement practice is a priority and which isn't? You know who that sounds like? Sounds like President Obama. Sounds like President Biden.
Yeah. And what I'm wondering, a lot of this has not happened in, like red states to the extent that has happened in, California, and they're supposed to do it in Chicago.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
But all of these cities are relying on these workers, and there's reporting that the administration has been instructing federal judges to dismiss these immigration cases. People are showing up to their court cases as the law has instructed them to do because they think they're going through the process. The cases get dismissed as soon as they show up, and then ICE can arrest them. So
precisely,
that's trickery, right? It's not. How much of that is happening?
So in a strict sense, if you are here illegally, you can be detained and deported. In a strict sense, We have not been aggressive like that for more than 20 years in our country because of the labor shortages and the labor needs in the construction, agriculture, hotels, home health care, nursing homes, etc., that many immigrants fill. Now, in a technical status, strict interpretation of the law, if you are here in an undocumented status and you become aware of immigration enforcement services, they can detain you and deport you in a strictest sense of the law. So that is within their power. But to your point, what did the president say during the campaign? We have been invaded, and everyone who has come in is a murderer, or criminal, or drug dealer, or worse. Every single one of them. Factually never true, and now practically being revealed as untrue. Because people who go to the court to work through their process are more or less by definition, not universally, but more often than not criminals.
Yeah.
Criminals typically do not show up at courthouses unless they're in cuffs.
Voluntarily, yes.
With their attorney, right, to be tried for something, okay? So it is a level of entrapment. Now, not exactly because they're here illegally, so that can be done. But it hasn't historically been done. And also historically, we haven't gone to schools. There have been some reporting that people have gone to schools. ICE has gone to schools, hospitals, other places have not been 100% off limits, but generally off limits because we have had an understanding that there is within our labor force a pronounced need for these types of workers. And this is now running into the reality that they're A, not all criminals, B, valuable laborers. And now the president says, oh, changes are coming. Well, that means there are going to be changes on a case-by-case or need-by-need basis, which means you're prioritizing some over the other. That's sort of what we've been doing for a very long time.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, some of maybe the big employers that might have a lot of undocumented immigrants working for them, that's not necessarily where the president was sending ICE forces. We know that ICE was going to certain high-profile restaurants in the D.C. area.
Yeah.
And restaurants that have multiple locations asking for the papers of the workers where you wouldn't keep those I-9 papers or whatever at that different location. You keep it at the headquarters, which ICE knows, but they had no interest in seeing the I-9s. They wanted to put on a show at a high-profile restaurant.
And create a sense of anxiety and fear. Absolutely, which has happened. We are in the process of getting in touch with the mayor of Montebello, a suburb of Los Angeles, who had an interesting quote yesterday for my show tonight, The Takeout, who said, ICE hasn't been to my city, but psychologically they're already here. My community lives in fear. And people are not going to school. They're not going out. They're not going to places they ordinarily would. They're not living their lives as they ordinarily would because they live in fear. They haven't seen ICE yet, but it's in their dreams. And that is something that is the reason I go into this direction is, again, I have said under the strict interpretation of federal immigration law, these things are permissible. Are they necessary? Are they the things that leave us as a country most comfortable with our relationship to those who have come here, sometimes at great risk, to work in jobs that are difficult to do, require long hours for, generally speaking, lower wages, and live in our society and take on those burdens willingly because they're trying to get a better life? Is this strict interpretation of the law the kind of thing that leaves them most comfortable, our communities safer, our communities most comfortable with the application of the law? That's what our country is now wrestling with. Because when the president says no protester can wear a mask, but ICE agents can and routinely do everywhere, and file an indictment against a labor leader in California saying that the labor leader bullied them by yelling at them across a fence. That became a federal case. Okay? There seems to be something disproportionate about the application of force, the strict enforcement of federal law, and communities actually functioning.
Major Garrett, you want to tell us about The Takeout today?
So we're going to talk a lot about the Middle East. There's tremendous amount of reporting, much of which CBS has, about the conversations ongoing between Israel and the Trump administration about a possible military raid against Iran to deter its pursuit of a nuclear weapon. That would be a very transformative event in the Middle East if it happens. And there's all sorts of reporting that Israel is moving in that direction. Good idea, bad idea, consequences. We're going to get into that. We're going to continue to talk about immigration, not only in the sense of what's happened, what isn't happening, what hasn't happened, but this idea that fear itself is now becoming part of a built-in sense of being an undocumented immigrant in our country, not just in Los Angeles. And we're going to dip into something else on the immigration front. The gold card goes on the market today, $5 million to get to the head of the line to become a citizen of the United States. What are the implications of that? Plus, RFK Jr. switched out the entire vaccine advisory panel. Who did he put in it? Vaccine skeptics. What does that mean? We're going to try to get into that as well.
Major Garrett, as always, we love it. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks so much.
That is Chief Washington Correspondent for CBS News, host of The Takeout, which is on CBS News 24/7, Major Garrett, who joins us weekly just after 10:30 on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Hey, it's Jeff at Sachs Financial. Over the last 15 years, we've been able to help our clients focus on the fundamentals and tune out the daily grind by putting a great retirement plan in place. If you don't have one, find out how to get started at retiresafestl.com.
Hey, St. Louis! MERS Goodwill is proud to sponsor the St. Louis City Match on June 14th, and we want you to be a part of the excitement. This is more than just a match. It's a day of giving back. Bring your new or gently used clothing and household items to donate at designated drop-off zones outside Energizer Park between 12:30 and 3 p.m. Join us for the City and Goodwill Donation Drive on June 14th. Give hope, give local, give goodwill.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at Michael's Baths. So as you know, it's such a great deal. If you've been looking at other companies like Bath Fitter or 3-Day Kitchen and Bath, Mike does it local. He does it family. He's been doing nothing but bathrooms for 30 years now. And while many companies are raising prices due to tariff uncertainty, Michael's Baths is doing the opposite. They're offering $500 off any shower or tub replacement and $1,000 off a full bathroom remodel, turning market challenges into savings for their customers. 636-775-0800, michaelsbaths.com.
On the Chris and Amy Show, we're launching 100 Acts of Kindness because apparently honking less in traffic doesn't count as charity.
We're teaming up with Jerry Kelly Heating and Cooling to prove kindness doesn't have to cost a dime.
Hold the door, say thank you, help your neighbor take out their trash without throwing yours in first.
No grand gesture required, just small, simple acts of human decency. We believe in you.
Join us and share your stories with hashtag 100KindActs.
Kindness, it's like a group hug without the awkwardness.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
A few years ago, CTV was a buzzword. Now it's your most important channel, while your current DSP is still playing catch-up. Viant's been leading CTV from the start, delivering real results across the world's most premium streaming content, viewed by real consumers, backed by real reporting. With AI-driven optimization, people-based targeting, and inventory from the biggest names in entertainment, Viant doesn't just reach audiences, it moves them. Viant, where premium streaming meets performance. Visit ViantInc.com/CTV to unlock real results today.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been asked many times how Morgan & Morgan became the largest injury firm in the world. I think I know. When someone comes to us for an on-the-job injury, we have a huge workers' compensation practice. But many times we find a defective product that was responsible for that injury. Luckily for them, we have a product liability section headed by my son, Mike. In addition to the comp case, there is a product case too. Other times, the injured worker is fired or harassed for bringing that claim. We have them covered. Our employment lawyers handle retaliation claims as well as wage theft and discrimination cases, and in some cases need to file for Social Security benefits. No problem. We became big for a reason. 30% of our new cases come as referrals from former clients. Hiring us is easy. Go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer, or call Pound Law on your cell, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. You know, when you go to the Audiology Center, you'll see a doctor of audiology. And with us right now, Dr. Colleen Bosler. Dr. Bosler, what are some of the signs of hearing loss?
Well, it's a number of things. Sometimes loved ones notice a person asking others to repeat themselves, or the television is too loud. What people tend to notice first with hearing loss is the loss of clarity. They can hear people talking, but they cannot always understand what's being said. That's because the hearing loss can cause you to miss certain consonant sounds, and those consonant sounds give us the detail to the word. A hearing aid can help bring back those details and give you a sense of clarity that you're missing.
Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center with 3 locations in the greater St. Louis area. Call for an appointment, 636-441-7470. Online, theaudiologycenterstl.com.
The Chris and Amy Show is video streaming now on KMOX's YouTube, X, and Facebook pages. Click and subscribe.
If everybody had a notion across the U.S.
Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys passed away yesterday.
He did.
Yep.
They have a lot of bangers, man.
Revolutionaries in the music world. Really interesting to hear the Beatles talk about
and
how
John
they
Hancock,
were,
never heard of him.
I know, influenced and challenged by the Beach Boys. Ron, just a quick follow-up to our conversation at the beginning of the show about the protests / riots / unrest, everything that's kind of going on in that 1 square mile of LA. And it's a big deal. I know the images are scary. And our conversation with Major Garrett, we're having a lot of commenters about immigrants, illegal immigrants. They're in the country illegally and we can deport them. And as Major Garrett said, we have the legal power to do so. But there's something when you are a country that is the freest country in the world, wealthiest country in the world, a democracy, a beacon of light, the Statue of Liberty, opening your arms to those who are persecuted, those who are searching for a better life. There's a certain moral standard that you hold. And like we say, like, you don't want everything that's immoral to be illegal. Like, it's immoral to cheat on your spouse. You don't necessarily want that illegal. You don't want people arrested for it, because in a society, you need a nice balance of virtue and freedom. So not everything that's immoral should be illegal. On the same token, there are legal routes that the way you enforce the law needs to be honorable and principled. Just because it's legal doesn't mean you can go about it with cruelty, or, as I would say, the way the immigration laws are being enforced right now, with fear and intimidation. We're not a country that's built on law and order through fear and intimidation. And that's why, does the immigration issue need to be addressed? Yes. We do not want cities burning down. We don't want destruction, but you don't want to intimidate people, as you mentioned, kind of deceive people through the immigration process.
Who think they're doing the right thing and following the law
thing
because they were told to show up in court for their hearings. They did that, and then they were arrested because their cases were dropped abruptly.
So
that is not a noble way to operate.
Being noble, being honorable, character matters. And going back to George Washington, because we love our founding fathers, he would often reference the vine and fig tree. The vine and fig tree. What did he mean by that? So that's actually, he was referencing a Bible verse, Micah 4:4. And it says, but they shall all sit under their own vines and under their own fig trees, and no one shall make them afraid. And that's what he wanted the United States to be. I get it. Yes, we need legal immigration. Yes, we have an issue that we need to deal with if we've got a lot of undocumented people here, but we can do so morally, compassionately, and with principle. Just because it's legal doesn't mean we have to do it cruelly.
And I kind of don't want to hear any lectures from that side about the immigration system when there was a bipartisan border bill that was proposed and Trump killed it because he told everybody to kill it on the Republican side, and they did. That could have helped us move in the right direction. And I have a real problem with treating people like they're animals when they're just trying to get better lives for themselves and are contributing, by the way, in a big way. And we can't deceive them. It's just a wrong thing to do. Amy Markscore's Chris Ranji. When we come back, we will talk to Kellen Flukiger about how you just acting like good enough is good enough. It isn't. You need to be perfect. Seriously. You need a lot of work. We'll talk to Kellen when we come back on KMOX.
Another checkup? Why are so many people getting new puppies?
Dr. Kim's veterinary office is littered with cuteness.
We are booked solid for weeks, but who can say no to a puppy, right? Oh, good boy. Oh, what?
She needs to find extra vet techs to get those pups some extra love.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, candidates can find it easier, so you can hire easier. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed.
From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Winner of 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards, including Overall Excellence, KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey, and between now and the end of the summer, chances are that you or someone you know is in the market to buy or sell a home. And like me, you probably know a few realtors. Well, yeah, I know several as well, but when someone I know needs to sell their home, I always recommend Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I've been telling you about Gloria for years now, and here's why you should call, because no matter what the market does, Gloria Liu will guarantee upfront and in writing to sell your home at 100% of market value, or Gloria will pay you the difference.
St. Louis home sellers, if you're looking for certainty and the most money guaranteed for the sale of your home, call me, Gloria Liu. My name is My Promise, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Call me directly at 314-325-6888 or visit me online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. That's gloriahasthebuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. It is 11 o'clock and we've got cloudy skies, 78 degrees right now downtown. I'm Debbie Monterey. And some breaking news. We are getting reports that a British national has reportedly survived the Air India plane that crashed in a huge fireball on its way to London, killing nearly 3,000 people. This is according to his family. And we are awaiting more confirmation on that miracle. Another protest against federal ICE agents raids ended with arrests in lower Manhattan. Protesters marched to the federal immigration courts and clashed with police where arrests ensued. Similar protests in cities across the country, including St. Louis and Chicago. 3 Democratic governors are on Capitol Hill fielding questions about sanctuary policies that limit cooperation with federal immigration authorities. In her opening statement before the House Oversight Committee, New York Governor Kathy Hochul outlined her state's approach to immigration.
Since I've become governor, we've cooperated in handing over 1,300 convicted criminals to ICE.
But what we don't do is civil immigration enforcement. That's the federal government's job.
The Trump administration recently listed Illinois, Minnesota, and New York as 3 of the hundreds of jurisdictions it says are defying federal immigration law. Here's Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker to members of Congress.
As governor of the great state of Illinois, I have seen firsthand how states have had to shoulder the consequences of a broken immigration system. I'm proud of how we have responded by promoting public safety, treating people with dignity, supporting our economy, and respecting the rule of law.
Activists say they will hold even larger demonstrations in the coming days with No Kings events across the country on Saturday to coincide with Trump's military birthday parade through Washington, D.C. When the mosquitoes start biting, people get desperate to be left alone. But Gene Ponzi, green resources specialist with the Missouri Botanical Garden, hopes you won't use chemical foggers.
You get your yard fogged and you want to keep your yard mosquito free for 30 days. That means that the chemicals on the plants in your yard are a death trap for every insect that lands on them throughout that 30 days, not just for mosquitoes. So use the chemicals where it makes sense.
And that makes the most sense on you. She says use a mosquito repellent as your cloak of invisibility. She recommends after it rains, inspect your yard for any standing water, no matter how small. Bucket lids, the dog's frisbee, flower pot containers. The weather is sponsored for you by Financial and Tax Strategies.
Clouds and a high of 82 this afternoon. We'll watch some showers, even a thunderstorm moving into southwestern areas this afternoon. Those spread across the rest of the area tonight. Low 70. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Heather Zayer on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Cloudy and 78 degrees right now. It is 11:03. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
It's never too early to start thinking about your retirement journey, and it's never too late either. You just need to know that the steps may look a little different. Listen to Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg, Saturday mornings at 7 here on KMOX.
Chris Ranji, Amy Mark scores because life is too short for boring radio. 104.1 FM KMOX.
You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down. You're the best around.
You know, I like to think I am
Yes, you're what?
the best around.
Well, that's
I'm the best.
highly debatable.
I'm the best
From the look
something.
of these comments, you are not.
Oh, those comments are for both of us. They don't like either one of us.
I don't think they do.
Amy Mark scores, Chris Ranji on 104.1 FM KMOX. And we like to use the phrase, I like to use it, don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Is that because you're a big cliche guy?
No, you're the cliche guy. I just like that one.
Okay.
I think it's a good one because it applies to so many things that we do in this country. So apparently that's wrong, though.
Yeah.
Apparently you're supposed to strive for greatness at all times. Kellen Flukiger is the author of more than 20 books, including the bestseller called The Results Equation: From Dream to Done in 5 Simple Steps, because we are addicted to being average.
What?
That's what I'm hearing. We are addicted to being average, and why that is bad for us. We should want to be better. Kellen is with us now on KMOX. How's it going, Kellen?
Hey, thanks. It's going really well. Thanks for having me.
We're glad to have you. So, how come it is not okay for me to just be,
Well, it is.
Oh,
so I'm gonna do both.
All right, good.
Because here's the thing: we live in this place where we have become addicted to mediocrity, and we think good enough is good enough. Now, any person is free to live there, but every person has within them the yearning. I wonder if, what if I could do this? And then they follow it with a list of excuses that start with yabbit, 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 yabbit. And so
I love that one.
That whole, like old Bugs Bunny, wabbit, wabbit, right?
Yeah.
So yabbit, 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 all the reasons why we can't. And then we have become addicted to good enough instead of recognizing the truth of what we could do if we decide to.
What do you think is more common? What do you run into the most? Someone who is complacent with where they're at, or someone who has crippling perfectionism?
Crippling perfectionism. More common is I think they're both a sign of fear. Crippling perfectionism is a fear that I won't be good enough. I've got to do the best I can. And even if I do, it won't be good enough. So I'll tinker with it forever. And that becomes my excuse to procrastinate. It's not quite right. It's not quite right. So the answer is do it. Do it and suck to start with. Then do it and get better, and do it and get good at it. That's the way to grow. That's what you do when you go to the gym. You don't start with 200 pounds. You start with 50 in some lift. So the idea that it has to be perfect is a subtle form of fear and procrastination in my book. And complacency sometimes comes because maybe you've tried it sometimes and it fails. And so you get the idea of, it's just not for me. And that's not true. It just means you haven't developed either the skill or the perseverance to get what you want yet.
Yeah, so that might be the difficult thing. The great challenge for people is once they've failed once or twice, there's that feeling of being demoralized, and you just don't, you don't feel like you want to try harder the next time. So how do you tell somebody who is having that emotion that they can get past that?
So have the emotion for a minute, but then recognize the truth that when you try something and it doesn't work, which is all failure is, it is an interesting data point, IDP. It is not a personal indictment. We have been taught by the idea of comparison and everybody looking at everybody else's social feed that somehow it's not okay to fail, and it's a personal indictment. It means that I'm somehow not good enough. That failure means something about me instead of, that didn't work. What else can I do? And first thing is to realize it actually is just a marker. That didn't work, and that's all it means. And when we get out of the idea that it has some personal indictment, then you get, you have the courage, or you can have the courage to do it again out of curiosity instead of out of fear or out of saying, ooh, I suck. I don't want to do that again.
It's so interesting because I feel like, maybe a couple generations ago, nobody talked about their feelings at all. We joke how there was definitely divide between mom and dad and the kids, and no one opened up, and grandpa didn't talk about his life or what he experienced. And then now we have what almost feels like at times an overly confessional society, and we're kind of finding our hardships and not just overcoming them, but kind of just parking in them. Like we swung the other direction. How do you find that balance of saying, listen, we need to acknowledge struggles, hardship, whatever you're dealing with, but also don't let that define you?
I love that question, and thanks for that. That goes to a thing that I call learned helplessness. So when we park in that place of, that's all there is, and we park in it, and we have become overly confessional. Everybody's blathering about everything that ever happened to them. The only value those things have is if you choose to let them refine you instead of ruin you. Every person breathing air has small or enormous challenges that they go through. Young, old, doesn't matter. Betrayal, bankruptcy, personal problems, who cares? The question is, are you going to let it ruin you and park in the story of I am ruined, or are you going to go in and allow it to refine you? What can I learn here? What can I do better? And giving up on that question of refinement is where we get stuck in the mediocrity.
So the polling suggests, and Gallup has the number at under 50% of people who say they are very satisfied with their personal lives. But a lot of people say that they are, somewhat satisfied with the vast majority say they are somewhat satisfied. Is this the kind of thing where if you're a person who's, I feel pretty good about where I am, is there any reason to try and make that better if you're already content?
Well, that depends. And it depends on what your heart's telling you. We have become addicted, again, to the idea that everything needs to come in an Amazon box, or every problem needs to be solved in the length of a TV sitcom. We live in a download and double-click world, and if it's any harder than that, it must not be the right thing. That's not true. No great accomplishment ever happened at any time without the effort, the desire, the curiosity, the bravery, in different mixes of those things. And we now have this, highlight reel world of social media and everything else that makes it feel like if it's hard, it's somehow wrong. And so if a person says, okay, I'm going to be satisfied, keep a job I don't really like that much, but it pays the bills and work for the weekend. If you want to live in that, that's true. And when you get to the end of life, or where you even in the middle, sit quietly and reflect. This is not all there is. You have the ability, if you're willing to chase it, to create what I call the ultimate life, a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy.
You know, it's interesting. I'm a distance runner, and I like to say that it's countercultural because we do worship ease, comfort, and instant gratification in our society right now. And I always say that distance running is difficult, uncomfortable, and all the results are delayed. But running and working those muscles, being uncomfortable, doing something I don't want to do, leaning into discomfort has made me stronger in other areas of my life. If I don't feel like doing something, or if I'm not seeing progress, it's just knowing that you're playing the long game here. And I think it's important, especially with younger generations who have music and videos and whatever Amazon items they want at their fingertips. It's almost like we have to work harder to teach them those skills that push against the ease, comfort, and instant gratification.
You know, there's a talk that I saw the other day by a famous Simon Sinek, who gave a talk about AI. And, I use it a lot in my business, in marketing material and other stuff that I write. But he said one of the dangers of this whole thing is, yes, it's instant, it's beautiful, it's maybe even closer to perfect than we could ever do. And what we're losing is the fact of who we become when we do that work, which is exactly what you're talking about your running, who you become as you push through the different barriers and the different phases of the distance running. That is the prize, not even the outcome. So it's less about having the perfect outcome than the question of what are we missing? Who am I becoming as I choose to do these difficult things?
So, Kellen, I know that in your past, you were you worked in radio. You did the same thing that we are doing here, or something similar. So you getting out of that I don't know, did you completely get out of the business or just do it part-time?
Well, I have a podcast called Your Ultimate Life. Yeah, and I just recorded episode 991 this morning.
Okay.
And so I have never been in a radio station like you are.
Got it.
But all of that is an outcome of my life change. It happened in 2007. Before that, I had a 30-year career in corporate and everything else. And some stuff happened in my life that made me realize the very thing I'm teaching and helping people realize is I was settling for far less and certainly not doing stuff that filled my soul. And it's like, enough already. And so all the books that I've written, 20 books, I'm working on two more right now. And the podcast and everything else has come as a result of me making the choice to say, wait a minute, I'm going to do everything I can to create this purpose, prosperity, and joy I talk so much about.
Oh, so you're saying that what we're doing now, we're just we're settling for mediocre. We should be doing a lot better than this job. That's what I'm hearing.
I didn't say that.
That's what I'm hearing, Kellen. That's what I hear.
Well, you can take it any way you want to, but that's not what I meant.
That's right, Kellen.
Oh, I'm going to go talk to a couple of mediocre schlubs. We appreciate it. It's really good stuff. And I think it's super interesting. It's a great idea because a lot of people, I think most of us, it's very easy to fall into that. I'm okay. I don't need to do a whole lot better. And then just go from there. But you're giving us other ideas, and we certainly appreciate them. Kellen, thank you for talking with us today.
Thanks for having me on the show today.
Kellen Flukiger, author of 20 books, more than 20 books he's written on it. This one, The Results Equation, From Dream to Done in 5 Simple Steps. Don't settle for being mediocre. That's why we want you to vote for us in the STL Mag A-list, because if we win that thing, then I guess we're better than mediocre, or maybe slightly. So STLmag.com, you can vote once a day. You should do that.
Every day.
Until like Monday.
That's right.
You don't have a whole lot of time, so get on it, dude.
We don't need to win. We just need to beat the Glover Show. Help
That's
us.
Right.
Help us split the vote. It's the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
Ready to make lake life a reality? With Anywhere Lombardo at Lake of the Ozarks, you can build a home designed just for you. Whether it's a cozy retreat or a luxurious lakeside escape, our custom designs bring your vision to life, set against stunning lake views and peaceful surroundings. The perfect balance of relaxation and adventure. With a trusted builder backed by long-standing vendor relationships, you'll enjoy cost savings and superior quality from start to finish. Start your dream home today with Anywhere Lombardo. Visit lombardohomes.com to learn more.
Straight Realty has always been an industry leader when it comes to commissions, so it should come as no surprise that the recent Realtor settlement has only empowered us to continue offering our sellers even better rates. We now list homes for only 2%. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Call me 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. It is my duty to protect Missouri consumers from fraud and deception. In the last year alone, we've secured over $400 million in restitution, settlements, and judgments. If you've been a victim of a fraud or scam, please report it to our office at 1-800-392-8222 or visit ago.mo.gov.
Sponsored by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Add some star-spangled style to your summer with Ashley Stars and Stripes sale going on now. Shop Hot Buys for every room in your home, now just $6.99. Plus, you can save up to $1,000 store-wide. And don't miss upgrading your patio. Save up to 20% on select outdoor furniture. Or feel the freedom to buy now and pay over time with 0% interest until 2030 on in-store purchases made with your Ashley Advantage Synchrony credit card. Only at Ashley. Subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
Need a lawyer? Onder wins. Call Onder Law at 314-9-million. That's 314-9 all zeros. Or go to onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
It's the Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX. Sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium. Explore the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station.
And how about Augie? What a move there. Stab, dive, done. We're back with the bottom of the first after this.
That was a representative in the House.
Oh, from the congressional baseball game? That was the highlight on C-SPAN.
Yeah, they have broadcasters. It's unbelievable. And I don't know if you remember yesterday when I said, who do you think's going to win? You're like, I don't know. Let me look at the rosters. And both Matt and I said, we know. We know who's going to win.
And they did.
And they did. The Republicans destroyed the Democrats in the congressional baseball game again, winning for the 5th straight year.
That's why Republicans don't pass anything anymore. They're too busy taking infield.
Too busy passing first.
Pass first. Hey, maybe pass a law, would you? That helps people. You guys want to do something productive for the American folks? Don't win a baseball game. Go win some legislation.
Passing laws is better than passing
gas.
That's right.
It's way. Well, that depends on your perspective.
I will say,
because sometimes you really
need to, especially when you have like a sharp pain. Nobody likes a gas pain.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's the worst. I feel like when I was a kid, I feel like those were more prominent.
Yeah, me too.
I don't. Why is that? Is it because kids eat weird food?
I had to leave school once.
Wait, what?
I feel like I had to leave this.
Because you were tooting, or you just had pain?
No, I had. I was like, oh, I thought I was dying, but it turns out I just needed a toot.
That's so cute.
Yeah, I was like in first grade. I remember this.
I got a pain.
Yeah.
Because that was always the thing. They'd be like, "Oh, something hurts." My parents would be like, "It's probably a gas pain." You're
I remember
fine.
2 things about first grade.
Yeah.
2 things. 1, the Thriller album came out, and 2, I had to go number 2, and I had to leave school because of it.
Have you ever heard of costochondritis?
I haven't.
So I heard about that as a kid, and it's like an inflammation of cartilage in your like ribs, but it's like a really sharp pain up here. And that was my thing as a kid. I just remember thinking like, I have costochondritis. It was probably gas pain. But like I haven't talked about costochondritis probably since I was 14. But I mean, I remember 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I had costochondritis all the time.
So
and
that's
one of our listeners definitely has had costochondritis. It's terrible.
So wait, that's gas pain.
No.
Okay, it's different than
It's different. It's actually an inflammation of the cartilage that's like in your ribs and your sternum. And it's really painful.
I thought that was called pleurisy.
No, that's
when your lung.
I thought that was liquid in your lungs.
No. That's when your lung is dry or something and it sticks to the inside of your rib cage.
Pleurisy 100% sounds like Victorian era.
It's
an inflammation of the lining of the lungs.
Yeah, there you go.
But that does sound very Dickensian.
Okay.
Pleurisy does.
Yeah.
Like gout.
Gout is I hate that word.
It's a bad word.
It doesn't fit the ailment.
No, it doesn't.
Gout, when you hear gout, what does that sound like to you? What do you think
in your
gout would sound like?
esophagus, like maybe some kind of like stomach, like GERD.
No, see, when I hear
ankles,
gout,
right?
So when I hear gout, I feel like it's something with your toes. Like there's a problem with your feet.
Well, you're closer than
like
I am.
Maybe like a weird fungus or something. That's
Really?
what gout sounds like to me, but it's not.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not. Is it swelling?
No, I think it's like a buildup of uric acid.
Oh.
Yeah, like from the stuff that you're eating, and if you're having a bad diet, it will lead to it.
Well, apropos of absolutely nothing, I did want to bring up shortly, since we've been talking about downtown St. Louis, the Dome is going to spend $50 million on upgrades. Plans to use some of that Rams settlement money.
Yep.
And the Dome is almost 30 years old. 100% thought it was older. I know it's not, but in my head, it feels older.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I have some running tights and shirts that are 20-something years old. And it just blows my mind that these stadiums and arenas that cost hundreds of millions of dollars are completely outdated in 20 years.
Well, because technology moves so quickly. I mean, how much
Not
technological?
in my pants.
Yeah, right. How much technological improvement has there been in pants over the last 30 years?
Some, probably not as much as the Dome.
Right. That's the point, is that in a facility like that, one that does a lot of sports, you have these massive, beautiful, high-tech video screens and scoreboards and, just amenities that they improve so rapidly every 5 or 10 years. I mean, you've got just awesome tech. Like, look at the Cowboy Stadium. Look at that scoreboard. That thing's almost, it's not outdated. It certainly isn't outdated, but there are now better ones, like what the Rams have. The Rams scoreboard situation is better than what the Cowboys had. And what the Cowboys had at the time when they built their new stadium was unbelievable. It's just the technology gets so good so quickly. And then you go to the Dome.
Yeah.
Now, I know we don't have an NFL team, but I cannot imagine watching an NFL game in there and looking up at that tiny ass scoreboard with the little video screen that looks like individual light bulbs. The The clarity on it is so bad because it's such an old stadium.
What is it called? Not 8-bit. What is it called? The
8-bit was Nintendo.
The old school, 8-bit. That's what I feel like the scoreboards look like.
You're right. The resolution is horrible.
Resolution. I get it. But even with Busch Stadium, talking about $500 million of upgrades to Busch Stadium because they need to replace all of the seats. I mean, I guess seat technology has changed. We talk about how there's mesh seats that keep you cooler than the plastic that they have. Yeah. But do you know how it still feels like when you buy a house and they're like, we have commercials for like Rhino Shield or Anderson windows. Like, these windows will last you 30 years. Rhino Shield will last you 30 years. I'm like, well, maybe they should use Rhino Shield on the stadium. Why are the stadiums breaking down after 20 years?
Well, they don't have windows.
That's true. I get it, but again, I'm such an old man. Well, my grandparents had an old metal refrigerator in their garage. For 75 years, that refrigerator worked.
Amy, they don't make them like they used to.
They make them to break, Chris. They make them to break. Make them to break them.
You wouldn't need Rhino Shield because don't they deal mostly with the outside of a house?
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean.
So
it's the same idea.
We don't care what the outside of the dome looks like. It needs to look nice inside.
I think they should have kept the TWA on the roof for nostalgia.
Let's put that back up.
I'll put it right up with Save Chesterfield
How many
Mall.
millions would that take to put the TWA back on the roof of the stadium?
Yeah.
Oh, let's look into that.
That's our passion.
We have the dumbest passions, and
really
I'm here for it. Michael Calhoun was at the anti-ice protest that occurred yesterday in St. Louis. He will be in to tell us what he saw. That is next on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Taco to go, taco to, and a big Q. Taco to go, taco to go. Quick Trip taco just $2.99. Comes with a big Q, they steal so fine. Brisket breakfast, so much to choose for $2.99. You really can't lose. Taco to go, taco to, you steal legit. Taco to go, taco only at Quick Trip. Taco to go, taco to go, taco to go, $2.99 to go.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler for Supplement Superstores. Look, I've been telling you about their people and their products for a while. Let's focus on the best product right now. 213 Flashpoint Complex. Here's what it does for you. It helps boost your metabolism, fights cravings for you all day long, and gives you all day focused energy with no crash. And overnight, it burns fat by lowering cortisol levels. It is the perfect tool to reach your goals. So go into Supplement Superstores, tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you in. They'll give you 30% off the 213 Flashpoint Complex. Find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
Currently, it is 78 degrees downtown. Feels like 85. Might be a few brief showers today. Mostly cloudy. Still going to see that Canadian wildfire smoke. Tonight, a low of 69. Weather sponsored by Sachs Financial.
Hi, this is Jeff Sachs at Sachs Financial. Let's tune out the noise a little bit and focus on a retirement plan. If you don't have one or don't know how to get started, find us on our website at saxfinancial.com or retiresafestl.com.
Get ready, St. Louis. The Cubs are coming to town June 23rd through the 26th. The Cardinals host baseball's best rivalry at Busch Stadium in a series that always delivers. The Chicago STL rivalry is legendary, and the energy in the ballpark will be electric. It's the perfect way to spend a summer day or night at the ballpark with passionate fans and nonstop action. Don't miss out. Get your tickets today at cardinals.com/tickets.
Hey, this is Sonny Gray, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Catch a Cardinals game on your next date night or friends night out. Whether it's love in the stands or laughter with your crew, nothing beats ballpark vibes under the lights. Cold drinks, great eats, and Cardinals baseball. Check out Friday Night Live at Busch Stadium and enjoy happy hour price food and drinks all game long. Every Friday home game. Get your tickets today at cardinals.com and make memories that go beyond the scoreboard. Busch Stadium, where great nights begin.
You had a solid retirement dream, sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an unpredictable economy and the future feeling uncertain, you're wondering if that equity will still be there when you're ready. What if you could bank that equity right now? With Truehold, you can sell your home for its current value so you can access your equity today. You can bank the cash now and stay in the home you love with an easy standard lease. Truehold even covers property taxes, insurance, and repairs. And since Truehold hands over your equity in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't let a shifting economy put your hard-earned equity at risk. Visit Truehold.com and receive their competitive offer on your home in just 48 hours, based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com.
When you enter a place of business, you're owed a legal duty that the place of business is safe for you to shop in. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you suffered an injury at a place of business, our duty is to protect you after that harm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
The legends ride again. Willie Nelson and the Outlaw Music Festival is rolling back into St. Louis, June 28th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Don't miss the living legends, Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, along with Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, and more, live right here in St. Louis. This is country the way it was meant to be. Tickets are still available, so get them before they're gone. More information can be found at KMOX.com/events.
Cards manager Ollie Marble joins the Gas House Gang every Tuesday at noon. Sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center on the voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
The whole country's rising up right now. You know, for an emergency rally, I think this is a good turnout.
I've been thinking about doing some of these protests, and it's just gotten to a point where I don't want to sit quietly anymore.
Honestly, the videos of people being snatched off the street was enough. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is not what this country is about.
Michael Calhoun yesterday at the anti-ICE protests here in St. Louis. Michael, thank you for joining us in studio. And that audio there, was that from the protesters who were at Tam Avenue?
Tam Avenue overpass. Yep. First time I've done a news story at the Tam Avenue overpass that hasn't involved snow.
Oh,
that's where all the
really?
TV stations do their live shots.
Right.
When
that's true.
A big snowstorm.
I thought you were going to say like that doesn't involve the zoo or something.
Or the zoo. Great vantage point there.
I like the Tam Avenue overpass. It is a great one.
So what was the vibe like yesterday? I knew about the protest. I knew it was planned. Didn't actually see it for myself, even though I'm relatively close to where it is. We know it's been going on in LA and in other cities, the major cities where a lot of ICE raids have happened. But how did that appear yesterday?
Well, I've covered a lot of protests in St. Louis over the past decade. Running the gamut, of and so this was, people standing on the overpass, holding signs, waving, people honking their horns as they drove past on Highway 40 down below. One of those low key, I would say traditional kind of a protest. I didn't see police really at the Tam Avenue location at all. Maybe a police car, parked a few blocks away, but that was it. I know downtown they were blocking streets. There was a lot more going on, but the Tam Avenue was just, people who were again standing there, holding signs.
So you mentioned again, Tam Avenue standing there, holding signs, exercising their First Amendment rights.
A lot of traffic right after the Cardinals game, 5 o'clock.
Yep. Downtown, when you said blocking streets, so some of the protesters were standing on main thoroughfares?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I covered the one on Tam Avenue.
Tam Avenue. Yeah. As Ron said, the overall vibe, we heard some of the audio. What were the ages of people there? And like you said, did it feel friendly? Did it feel intimidating? Was it just, no, they're just standing there?
No, it was, like I said, a low key, friendly kind of environment. And the ages ranged from, I would guess college age to, 60s, 70s. A couple of women who drove in from, the Manchester, area. And so it really ran the gamut. It was a low key affair. And I'm trying to find the tweets from St. Louis police yesterday because they were talking about the downtown protest, which you had asked about. Here's a spokesperson saying, that they had a police escort. They were doing a march, down a street in downtown. And no updates after that. So I guess that one wrapped up as well.
Yeah, wrapped up and dispersed. Do you feel as a reporter going into that situation, like you said, you've covered protests for years now, going back to the Michael Brown protests,
Tea Party protests before
Tea Party
that.
protests.
Everything from county council meetings where I remember where they threatened to, close half the parks.
Yeah.
And so a lot of moms and other people
Mm-hmm.
showed up with signs and had a protest outside the council meeting. And so going to, different, school boards and board of alderman meetings, in all the different, parts of St. Louis.
Yeah.
I've seen, obviously, then you go to Ferguson, like the gamut of what can happen. And so, yesterday was just, what I would compare to, outside of a council meeting or the Tea Party protests or, what we see, the traditional kind of thing.
So about how many people do we think were there? Did it look like?
Post-Dispatch said 200 at each.
Okay.
I got there toward the end of the Tam
Okay.
Avenue one. So I would say maybe 100 when I got there.
Yeah.
And are there any more planned that we know about?
There are, and they were two different groups that organized these, which is, I think, why there were different areas, different people at each of them, different feel at each of them. And so there are different groups. If you go on social media, you can see who's behind each of these. And I believe, this weekend on Saturday, you've got, from St. Charles County to Alton and South County to downtown. Now, the size of these could vary. It could be 12 people or it could be 200 people.
Just because of everything that's going on, obviously this was a peaceful protest with signs and all of that. Obviously, we see the news and what's happening in LA. But going back to your time when you were in Ferguson and covering those protests, do you remember a time when the vibe changed, where the protest was peaceful to the point where maybe new groups of people came in and it got violent?
Yeah.
Because how did that all go down? I know it's not apropos to right now, but I'm just thinking
No, I'm
about
remembering
that. Yeah.
one night specifically where I was doing live hits every half hour on, KMOX and CBS. And, Captain Ron Johnson was out shaking hands with people. Families were out, holding signs, doing the protest. Sun begins to set.
Yeah.
You see, I don't want to say younger because, we're just talking about kids and families being
Right,
there,
right.
but then it begins to get dark and you see more teenage to 20-year-olds
Young
and
adult type.
then the police line begins to, instead of their milling around, it begins to, form, more, solidify more. And so you can just, kind of feel those little elements that shift. And
That transition
Yeah.
moment, which I think too is really important so that people can see that there is a difference. Like sometimes you see the more incendiary images coming out of Ferguson, but then during the day, it wasn't like that. Like you said, there'd be families, people shaking hands, and then you could kind of feel that transition.
And usually it seems like it
Interesting.
takes several hours before it gets to that point, right? Where there's
Well-
protesting that goes on throughout the day, and then at night, things really pop off.
I can remember from Ferguson it feeling relaxed until a bottle flies through the air.
Yeah.
It takes one person.
One little thing.
Were you
Can-
on the air when, was it a smoke canister? What? It was something where I feel like you were on the air live and were kind of, once things got a little bit crazier there.
Oh, there was so much.
There's so much. Yeah. Yeah.
That happened.
He's got his bulletproof vest over there still.
Still on the chair. I'm going to take it.
There's no plate in it.
Oh,
So
no.
good luck with that.
I might just wear it out then. I might just wear it out then, just for.
Well, no, they have an expiration date on them. That happened 10 years ago.
That is true. There is
Why do
an
they
expiration.
expire?
Well, things degrade over
Yeah.
time.
The
Wow.
organic
Kinda like the
material,
quality of
the
this show.
plastic, melts around the bullet. And
I feel like an idiot. It's because now there are two real reporters in here.
Yeah, we got Michael
And
Calhoun.
we're just the dummies that give opinions. And now you guys are in here. Now I feel nervous or something.
Michael Calhoun is here, and now Sean Malone is here. Michael, you're free to hang out if you want to, or you can just get up and walk out, whatever you
I
want
hear
to
there's
do.
food, so
Oh, yeah, there's food out there.
okay.
From the meeting that we were not invited to because we have to work. You know,
Good
the
excuse.
staff
The
meeting.
staff meeting. This is why
You
no
sound
one.
so upset
Well,
about missing
nobody
another
knows
staff
why
meeting.
we're
I always
here.
miss staff meetings.
We call this the black hole of KMOX programming because we're never at the staff meetings, which is
Mhm.
why all the promos during Total Information AM go, now the news, at 1, the fun. And we don't know where we fit into that.
We're just in between.
Nothing between 9 and 1.
Nothing between.
There's
Right.
It's a little ding, ding, ding. Thank you for
At
listening
9
to
the
KMOX.
news.
Please
What is
stay
it?
on
Wait,
the
what
line.
is it? At
Now the news, at 1, the fun.
That's it.
And we, they don't know we're
Now the
here,
news.
Michael.
I do
At
love
one, the
alliteration.
fun.
though.
There it is. At 1, the
Now,
fun.
the news.
Nothing
At
in
1,
between.
The fun.
Yes, there's nothing in between because we don't get to go to the staff meetings.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Anyway,
So,
that's
wow.
it. We
I
don't
think
need to-
everybody, I
yeah.
think the rest of the building thinks we're interns. Really, really old interns.
Yeah.
Sean Malone is here from the KMOX newsroom.
Chris, you want to go get me a
Thank you,
coffee?
I do. You know what? I might as well. I'm not doing anything else.
He'll wear the expired bulletproof vest.
If it makes you feel
I'm-
better, I did notice there is a news promo that goes around that every person in the newsroom has, like, I'm, Michael Calhoun, I'm Stuart McMillan, except one.
Sean Malone.
I'm not in it.
Oh no! Matt made one.
Clearly, within the 30 seconds allotment that we had, someone had to be left on the cutting room floor, and I must have been out at a story when that decision was
Michael,
being made.
Michael, before you leave, any grievances you'd like to air out?
Oh my gosh.
Can we get a sponsor and do this every week?
I'll be here.
It's Jerry Kelly, heating and cooling and electrical, airing of grievances.
Let's do it with all the poor news people here working so hard.
They are
and
working so hard.
I feel
No
like
one's
that
getting
could be a good
recognized.
segment, though. If you just open up the phone lines to let people anonymously grieve about their work,
You could call it the wine line.
We could call it the wine line.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
get a, like
Bring
a
that back.
wine seller
I just thought
sponsor
of
or
it.
something like that, or a winery to sponsor it.
Amy knows.
I know. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So Sean Malone, you're covering the story about the Rams money that's being used to fix up the dome.
Yes, and before we go into this, this is not the segment of the Rams money we have talked about previously. That is the cities. Part of the settlement is the dome got their own cut of the Rams money. About $70 million worth. I believe it has grown since then, or it's grown to $70 million. I forget off the top of my head, but they've got a large pot of money that they're now going to be contributing that and some other funds towards renovating the dome.
Do they have all of those renovations kind of lined up and ready to go?
All as in everything they want to do? No, some of them they got to go out to bid, which then obviously you'll have a better idea of, this renovation that we want to do that we thought was going to cost $20 million, maybe it's 18. Now we have another $2 million to spend towards something else. So not everything is line itemed. They have kind of divided up amongst what they would like to spend it on. It's $54 million in total, some from leftover preservation funds, others from the Rams settlement money, but not all of the Rams settlement money. They hope to have about $30 million left over to just sit in a bank, keep growing interest to do more projects in the future. But they do have lined out kind of the first, I don't want to call it phase, but the first year of the 3-year of renovations that they want to make lined out. And some of them, it's things that no one really would notice at the end of the day, repairs, like one of them listed here, replacing discontinued lights in suites, which makes sense. Then if a light goes out, you can't buy the bulb anymore. That's my understanding with that.
So
but
practical.
others-
That could be a nice countdown. Let's count down till the final sweet light goes out.
Yeah.
But the other ones are certainly a lot more visible, especially from the exterior. I think that's where a lot more of the guest-facing changes are going to come in. They're going to replace the billboard over I-70 and make it digital that way, and then you could be able to see it on both sides of the interstate as well, they said. And also the exterior digital sign marquees they want to replace as well. So that's some more of the guest-facing ones. But over the course of the next 3 years, of the $54 million they want to spend, $37 million of them, it's guest experience, technology, and media. So a large portion of this is going towards something that people going to the dome will physically see, but also vendors that they're looking to book at the dome as well will be able to see.
So how much more noticeable do they expect it to be that there have been improvements to the dome? So when you walk in, you think, oh, wow, okay, look what they've done here.
Well, it's interesting because it's not part of this like it's their goal, but they hope it's something that comes of this, is fighting against the stigma that is built about the dome over the last 10 years, that nothing really goes on there since the Rams left. That since they're not hosting in the home of, I know they've got the Battlehawks, but like a major professional sports team, that nothing really happens there. And they've actually said that losing the NFL kind of opened up their schedule, so they actually have more events over the course of the year without the NFL. There was an example, I forget the artist, but they have a concert coming up in August that they were saying they wouldn't be able to book otherwise because they'd have to kind of keep their dates open for potential NFL preseason games.
Oh, preseason games.
I do. I will say. I will say that's
you
been.
Roll your eyes at the preseason.
Well, preseason matters. I mean, they sell tickets for it.
That's been like, this is me opining, but it's kind of like, yeah, I broke up with my millionaire boyfriend, but actually it's like better because now I can like go hang out with my friends and now I can like go to the mall. It's like, yeah, but you broke up with your millionaire boyfriend. That's kind of how this feels. Well, now we can have the Methodist
Sour
convention.
grapes.
Yeah, I mean, we have the Methodist convention and we can give the Methodists any day they want, which is plus in some ways, but you'd rather have the NFL, but I get it. And I know
you don't have a controlling but rich boyfriend anymore. That says, no, you can't book a concert in April. What if we need that for our 10,000 fans for a preseason
I do
game?
not mean to disparage the Methodists, but if I had my choice of there being an NFL team in that building or we get a Methodist convention, find another place to go.
Point. That's the point I just made.
St. Charles has a convention center.
Right.
Go out there and then you can.
I would give the Methodists some free hot dog coupons for the football game.
You can go hang out in the neighborhood and bother the poor neighbors.
But
in St. Charles.
In St. Charles. But I know they did some upgrades, like they replaced the turf.
Yeah.
That was, that everybody had complained about for
that
so
looks,
long.
The old one
it was
bad.
so bad.
Right.
I don't know how many millions of dollars some of the upgrades they just did. But to me, $54 million sounds like it should be a lot. But after reading how Busch Stadium could easily do $500 million in upgrades, is $54 million enough to make a difference where maybe we do book some more conventions?
That's what their hope is. They want to book both more, events, sporting events like, tournaments and things like that. They hope to book more events like concerts, more Methodist conventions, if you will. Chris Ronji's excited about that.
I used to go to a Methodist church for
Really?
about, like a month.
A month?
A month?
Yeah. The one Methodist church I used to go to is a music venue now. So in Granite City.
Yeah, not a surprise.
Yeah, it's called The Mill. It's nice. You should go see it.
But they hope that this makes them more competitive. And something that was interesting that was said too is that without these renovations, that the Dome will become obsolete compared to other regional facilities that they're competing with also. So that's interesting. And a point they made too is that in the last fiscal year 24 and 23, that I think it was 1.2 million. Yeah, the Dome in 24 and 25 fiscal years, excuse me. It says the Dome hosted 60 meetings and events, 1.2 million attendees. And they said a lot of these people are not coming to St. Louis otherwise than for these events that only the Dome and the Convention Center can host.
Of course.
So it's one of those, like, if that's a huge loss in revenue for, if you look at the city with restaurants that are going to be serving people, hotels that are having beds filled. That's 1.2 million people, a loss in tourism like that. I don't know what that looks like in the grand scheme of things for tourism for St. Louis over the course of the year, but that sounds like quite a lot of people coming to the city just for events at the Dome.
Sean Malone, appreciate the reporting. Thank you for popping in.
No problem.
Sean Malone and Michael Calhoun, both from the KMOX newsroom, keeping us updated here on the Chris and Amy Show, 104.1 FM KMOX.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code QUOTE to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code QUOTE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code QUOTE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, Cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-day kitchen and bath.
Marilyn Facer recommends 3-day kitchen and bath.
Working with Dave was an absolute delight. Once everything was scheduled, everything went perfect.
Have you ever had a remodel done before?
About 25 years ago, and it was a nightmare.
Was 3-day kitchen and bath on time?
There was no delays. Everything was on time. All the deadlines were met. Everything came at once.
Would you recommend 3-day kitchen and bath to your friends and neighbors?
I highly recommend them to anybody.
Top quality products and craftsmanship in 3 days or less. Call 3-day kitchen and bath. Always on time as promised, at the price promised, and your job comes with complete satisfaction guarantee. No ifs, ands, or buts. Visit their website at 3daykitchen.com. That's 3daykitchen.com.
3-day kitchen and bath.
Chris Ranji for Siteman Cancer Center, and you have to know that you are somebody's favorite person, and your health matters not just to you, but it matters to people who care about you. Getting screened early for any cancer, whether it's colon or breast cancer, prostate cancer, or lung cancer, it is important to do that. Siteman has set up a website called GetScreenedNow.com. And when you go to it, it's going to help you find a location nearer you. If you live a little farther out from St. Louis and don't want to make the trip into the city, you can get screened closer to home. GetScreenedNow.com, because for me, I'm over 45. It's time for that colonoscopy. Third leading cause of cancer-related deaths in both men and women. And GetScreenedNow.com will help you find a location that is good for you. Doing it early, really, really important. GetScreenedNow.com.
Chris and Amy now. The Dave Glover Show at 1 on the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
What's today? It's Thursday. Really? Feels like Tuesday.
Just a little bit to go before the Gas House Gang. Bernie Miklasz and me, Chris Ranji, will be here about 10 minutes. A little bit less than that. Tony La Russa will join the show at 12:30, and we're doing the show after the Cardinals got swept by the Blue Jays. A text message, Amy, says, I just voted for you guys in the A-list, is what they're talking about, the STL Mag A-list. I voted for you, the Chris and Matt show. For some reason, it said Chris and Amy, but I know better.
Well, first of all, thank you for voting.
My name's still on it.
Second of all, okay, doesn't make any sense.
I don't even know if I agree. I don't contribute that much. I'm not on the air that much. Unless he's talking about Matt
His
Pauly.
stomach is on as much as he is.
Oh my God, his stomach is like the third voice on the show.
I looked at you twice. My stomach rumbled twice today.
You guys have you have two hosts? No, we have a 3-person show. The third chair is Matt's stomach. Always grumbling.
Well, now that I've got turkey, sausage, egg wraps here, I'm gonna be good.
Amy, did you see
or
this?
worse, I don't know.
Hey, just enough of the tummy grumbles.
Okay.
For the rest of the day, you got food. You don't need to be doing all that. We have a Gas House Gang to do here in a few minutes.
Oh, he's speaking of Gas House. Yeah.
So I didn't see this, but it was yesterday. Michael Calhoun pointed it out that the New York Times, if you have signed up for the Times on your phone, you get the alerts that the push notification that David Hogg, who was working with the DNC, that he is no longer doing that role. He is leaving the role. But the headline is Hogg out at DNC, which is a little suggestive.
Yeah.
That someone's walking around with a hog out, So Hogg is out at the DNC.
So I didn't know that was suggestive.
You didn't?
Well, I'm guessing it means your pee-pee.
It does mean you're. Yeah. That's exactly what it means.
Isn't that what a motorcycle is called? A hog?
Yeah. Well, no, I think it means more like a Harley.
Yes.
Like that's a hog.
That's a Harley, yeah.
The old crotch rocket. You know,
I know
like
the crotch rocket. That's like the
speedy ones. Those are not hogs.
Nagasaki. Yeah, wait. Was that
Kawasaki.
Kawasaki.
Nagasaki is where they dropped the bomb, Amy. Dude. Oh my God. That was so far off. All right. We need to go. We're going to be back with you tomorrow at 9:00. Chris and Amy show returns in the morning. Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. We don't
But
know.
you better
after
vote
all
for us
this.
in the STL Mag A list in the meantime.
Listen, in case you're wondering, this is us. This is us trying. So
Mhm.
that's all.
Yeah,
we have.
do not say to us ever do better because
Yeah.
this is us
This
doing
is-
as best we can.
This is as good as it
Go
gets.
get that motivational speaker back on the show.
Yeah.
All right, back tomorrow at 9:00. Anything you missed is on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. And yeah, vote for us in the STL Mag A list. Go online and do it. You can do it once a day. Coming up next, Bernie Miklasz and me, Chris Ranji on the Gas House Gang. Tony LaRussa joins us at 12:30 on 104.1 FM KMOX.